Chapter 181, Statue News and Obtaining the Shuiluo Crystal. After buying the items and leaving Fenglingshuan, Li Qi rode back toward the Myers family with young Coxiu and his entourage. "Mr. Li," the young Coxiu asked, "why did you bid 100,000 for that gray jade statue?" Li Qi answered, "Because the seller wanted to sell it even more than we wanted to buy it." On the 8th floor of Fenglingshuan, the one-horned man stood at the window watching Li Qi and the others depart. "Finally, it's been sold," he breathed, relieved, but still nursing the sting of lost money. He told himself, "What's lost is lost. It's better that the thing was sold than that I lose both the object and my life when trouble comes." Yet he felt anger flaring inside. The man he resented most was the seller who had given him the broken claw statue, an incomplete piece of a gray jade statue, at a bargain price. When he learned the main body of the statue belonged to the Cheetah City Lord, his blood ran cold. Gray jade was an exceptionally hard stone on the Blood Luo continent. Only the very top world-level powers could break or mark it. If gray jade were tougher in other ways, it would be ideal for weaponry and infinitely more valuable. As it was, gray jade handicrafts were expensive, but not absurdly so, affordable for domain-level cultivators who saved. If the Cheetah City Lord discovered the missing piece was connected to him, the one-horned man shivered. He was glad he'd already sold it and that the buyer was from the Myers family. "If I ever find that seller," he vowed inwardly, "I won't let him off." Back at the Myers family gate, young Caxiu suddenly stopped. "I remember now," he said, then relayed to Li Qi through mind power. "The statue you bought was made of gray jade. I've seen sculptures like that before." "Where?" Li Qi asked, curious. "In the hands of the Cheetah City Lord," Caxiu transmitted. "It was grayish-white like that statue. I only glimpsed it from afar, but it gave me a strange feeling." "Cheetah City Lord?" Li Qi considered, then asked via mind power, "Is he on bad terms with your father?" Caxiu was puzzled. "How did you know, Mr. Li?" "I guessed," Li Qi said with a smile. He felt a small thrill. Finally, he had a lead about the statue's whereabouts. If there was even a chance it was a beast god statue, he would go after it. Cheetah territory and Fengyin territory are a couple territories away, in the direction of Cloud Bay World City. In a few days, I'll tell Caxiu I'm heading to Cloud Bay World City. He was already planning. If the statue was indeed in Cheetah City, he intended to get it by any means necessary. A few days later, Li Qi said goodbye to young Caxiu and to Kailang, the boy's father. Caxiu wanted to travel with him, but Kailang forbade it. Li Qi left Fengyin City, found a quiet spot, and soared up to the 18th cloud layer. He studied the map of Cloud Bay World in his mind. Territories on the Blood Luo continent could span tens to hundreds of millions of square kilometers. Flying under his own power across even 2 adjacent territories would take many hours, more than 10 given the super-strong gravity. An E-class spaceship would be far faster. At the outer edge of the 18th cloud layer, he took out his E-class ship, set the course and distance, and the craft accelerated. The ship cracked through the clouds and sped along the continent's edge. When it decelerated, Li Qi guided it back into the 18th cloud layer, stowed the ship in his world ring, and drifted down toward the surface. After asking in a nearby town, he discovered he'd overshot. He was already inside Cheetah territory and had flown past Cheetah City. He drained the last cup of wine in him, tossed a few bao coins on the table, then flew back toward Cheetah City. Approaching the tall towers and gate of Cheetah City, Li Qi simply tossed a large bao coin to the guard and flew in. He went to the best inn, booked a superior room, and bribed the waiter for information about the family forces in the city. The waiter, tempted, told him everything he knew, and that the Cheetah City Lord, Srak Lit, had been gone for more than 3 months. "If the city lord is really away, this could complicate things," Li Qi murmured after the waiter left. He couldn't afford to wait idly on rumor. He needed to confirm it himself. That night he slipped out, concealed his presence, and made his way first to the Better family, the second-ranked family in Cheetah, known to be close to the Cheetah City Lord's Litter family. He found that the territory lord-ranked powerhouse of the Better family was absent. He checked the Cheetah City Lord's mansion and the Litter family's territory and found no sign of the City Lord. The reports were true. The Cheetah City Lord was not in Cheetah City. Without returning to the inn, Li Qi ascended to the 18th cloud layer again, pulled his E-class ship from his ring, and set off for other parts of the Blood Luo continent. Half an hour later, still at night, Li Qi stood on the roof of a house in a distant city, looking at a brightly lit mansion across the way. My first Blood River crystal will come from here, he thought. He vanished from the rooftop and slipped into the mansion. In a quiet room, City Lord Chongrong sat cross-legged, absorbing universe energy and converting it into genetic primal energy. The door was kicked open, and a figure in black armor, visor down, strode in. "Who are you?" Chongrong demanded, drawing weapon and shield. "The one who will kill you," the intruder answered. Before the bell of each word finished, Li Qi had already appeared at Chongrong's side. His hand, sheathed in a sinister black gauntlet, lunged for the man's head. Annihilation 2. The claw strike was terrifyingly fast, a shadow of black like torn space trailing it. Chongrong's face froze. He couldn't dodge or block. The blow smashed his head, but for a territory lord who possessed a life core, the head was no longer a guaranteed kill point. He transferred his life core to his chest and brought his shield up. His head began to heal. Li Qi's illusions still flickered near the door, but his true body had already materialized behind Chongrong. The gauntlet, forged from E-grade alloy, pierced Chongrong's chest and seized the life core. "No!" Chongrong screamed in his mind as the terrible pain ripped through him. Li Qi crushed the life core in his grip. Faint motes of light scattered and vanished. Without the life core, the man's soul was destroyed. Chongrong died. Li Qi pulled off Chongrong's storage wristband, stamped his mind power mark on it, and split off a sliver of consciousness to examine it. A smile curved his lips. 2 Blood River crystals. What a pleasant surprise. He had expected at most 1 from an ordinary territory lord, yet here were 2. With a flash he was gone, leaving the mansion in chaos. The speed of the city lord's death stunned everyone. Some wondered if a world-level powerhouse had come through the city. But by then, Li Qi had already moved on. Family mansions with territory lords were spaced far apart, and with no technological communication in the Blood Luo world, word could not travel fast enough to reach the next residence before Li Qi arrived. He slipped into another family mansion where the household seemed quiet and dark. He followed the pulse of mind power, found the target, and struck. The commotion woke the household. Lights flared, and people rushed about. When they found the pillar of the family lying dead, the shock was even greater. It was the domain-level old ancestor who had been slain. By now, Li Qi had already wiped out multiple local powerhouses, 2 territory lords, and even a domain-level old ancestor, and had taken at least 2 Blood River crystals. He rose to the 18th cloud layer, summoned his E-class ship from his ring, and sped toward the next hunting ground. Chapter 182. Ruins of the ancient god Eclipse Palace hung like a colossus in the Void Realm, set up specifically to monitor the Blood Luo continent. In a side chamber on the palace's first floor, a huge light screen showed Li Qi flying out from the continent. What's His Highness Li Qi doing? One moment he flies out of the Blood Luo continent, the next he flies back in. It's not a momentary thing. The shortest is a few hours, the longest a day or 2. It's not just that. The frequency is too high. He's been doing it continuously for 3 months now. The world lords responsible for monitoring exchanged puzzled looks. They had no idea why Li Qi kept leaving and re-entering the Blood Luo continent. At the edge of the continent's cloud layer, Li Qi counted silently. 128 Blood River crystals. I can stop now. More won't help much. Inside the control room of his E-class ship, he placed the 4 newly acquired Blood River crystals with the others he'd collected. Blood River crystals were a controlled resource within the human race. Those obtained through cultivation missions in the Blood Luo world required an application to the Virtual Universe Corporation if you wanted to give them away. Only with approval could they be gifted, or else the giver would be penalized. Blood River crystals can only be used by flesh and blood life forms, and my human main body is a flesh and blood life form. The Guyu ancient tree is a plant life form and can't use them. Li Qi thought. With the size of my human body, fusing with 100 Blood River crystals is the theoretical limit, but reaching that will be very difficult. The smaller the body, the harder it was to fuse crystals. A larger flesh and blood body raised the fusion limit accordingly. Now that he had enough Blood River crystals, he set his course for the most dangerous location on the Blood Luo continent, the ancient god ruins, intending to temper his will there. When his E-class ship reached the atmosphere above the ancient god ruins, the world lords watching from Eclipse Palace were astonished. No way! His Highness Li Qi is heading to the ancient god ruins? The ancient god ruins are the most dangerous place on the Blood Luo continent. Many Undying from our Virtual Universe Corporation died there back then. Even if Li Qi's cultivation mission was labeled dangerous, with a 50% chance of death, it wouldn't tell him to go to a place like that. The path is his to choose. If he decided to enter the ancient god ruins, he has to accept the risk. Don't underestimate him. He's a disciple of someone like a universe country lord. If he dares to go in, he may have some life-saving trump card. Everyone pay attention. If His Highness Li Qi meets enemies and leaves the cloud layer in his E-class ship, any native who dares to break through the cloud layer must be killed immediately. Understood? Of course. Part of the World Lord's duty in monitoring the Blood Luo world was to kill any native who broke through the cloud layer and entered the Void Realm. Above the ancient god ruins, Li Qi stored his E-class ship inside his world ring and dove down toward the wrecked expanse. As he approached the 15th cloud layer, a trace of surprise flickered across his face. The 15th cloud layer is blood red. Is it affected by the ruins? Below, the clouds were a boundless red, like a churning sea of blood. A terrifying, invisible, evil aura made one's heart race. Let's go in and see. He plunged into the blood-red clouds. His body seemed swallowed by an endless sea of blood. Immediately, he felt a peculiar influence, a stirring, an urge towards slaughter. Slaughter? He murmured as he continued descending. In the end, slaughter is just a means. I don't like it, but I don't reject it. At this level of influence, he told himself he wouldn't be affected. He had passed the 5th island of the Illusion Sea at universe-level First Order. His will had reached the limit of Territory Lord rank and was extremely close to World Lord rank. Such slaughter erosion could not easily sway him. He pushed through layer after layer of blood-red clouds and finally broke through to reveal the ancient god ruins. The ruins extended for hundreds of billions of kilometers. Below lay endless mountains, wastelands, swamps, and other terrains, but everything was strangely altered. Mountains appeared shaved, with chunks missing. Barren plains held enormous, regular pits, each hundreds of kilometers across, like the footprints of some supergiant beast. A faint red mist covered all the land, making distant features hard to discern. This must be where the gold beast god was active, Li Qi thought. Maybe it was killed here by a universe lord of our human race. Let's go down and have a look. He descended and landed on bare ground. Scanning the area, he found many white bones scattered across the soil and broken weapons and armor. He frowned. An invisible force tempted minds, and another strange force drilled into skin and passed through bodies. Neither primal energy nor psychic defenses could stop it. It treated flesh and blood like air and moved through freely. As it passed, the body underwent changes. These aren't ordinary evil chi, Li Qi concluded. They're more like the blood mist left when a beast god is wounded in battle. That's why they carry a slaughtering intent. Like a whale fall on earth, the corpse of a great beast could give rise to countless forms of life. The fall of a beast god left rare legacies across its remains. Even a short stay in the ancient god ruins would subtly change a visitor. Li Qi felt those changes beginning. This blood mist seems to be transforming my body, he sensed carefully, and it's changing in a direction that improves my ability to fuse blood river crystals. He realized the transformation speed correlated with the blood mist's density. He flickered several kilometers away to an area with denser mist. Denser blood mist, faster transformation, he noted, but denser mist also carried a stronger slaughtering will. One whose will wasn't strong enough could be turned into a puppet that only knew slaughter. My will hasn't quite reached World Lord rank yet, he thought. Better to be cautious. Find a place with relatively dense blood mist, but not overwhelming. With that, Li Qi headed toward a nearby patch of mist that struck the balance he sought. I won't make random promises anymore. This chapter counts as an extra update. I still owe 15 chapters, plus the 16 chapters from the 300 monthly votes extra update. Chapter 183, Preparing to Fuse the Shueluo Crystal. Li Qi's form flickers as he moves into a patch of thicker blood mist. Kill! Kill! As he steps into the haze, those shouts of kill ring through his sea of consciousness, and a far stronger killing intent presses at his heart. He can feel the strange transformative power intensify. It's still not enough, he thinks, feeling carefully. The mist's density is insufficient. The killing intent within it can't shake his will enough to temper it. That place looks promising. He spots a noticeably denser cluster of blood mist in the distance, takes a step, and crosses several kilometers to reach it. The moment he enters it, Li Qi feels as if countless droplets are seeping into him. Each time the thick mist washes past, his body shifts perceptibly. Boom! Kill! A surge of killing intent slams into his sea of consciousness, eroding and tempting his resolve. Endless murderous urges flow into his soul, and because his body is changing, much of that intent begins to lodge deep inside him. Over time, that intent will fuse with his soul, winds that could drive the weak-willed to madness, and even the strong will find themselves becoming bloodthirsty under the subtle influence. The killing intent in the mist is integrating into my soul, he realizes. He separates a wisp of consciousness and slips into the virtual universe. Virtual universe, Yuxiang Mountain region, manor number 115. In his bound study, Li Qi summons a light screen, opens the Virtual Universe Corporation treasury, and pulls up the secret law menu to search for Distortion Eye. Being in the blood mist of the ancient god ruins causes the killing intent inside to integrate with a person's soul, subtly turning them bloodthirsty. He reads as he opens the detailed entry for the soul's secret law, Distortion Eye. Distortion Eye costs 990,000 points for the complete set. Layered purchases are priced. First layer 1,000 points. First 2 layers 10,000 points. First 3 layers 90,000 points. Full set 990,000 points. Primitive Mystical Region members get 30% off. Highest Beginning Mythical Region 20% off. Heaven and Earth Secret Realm 10% off. Doomsday Secret Realm no discount. The exchange price for the first 2 layers is 10,000 points. With a 30% discount for his region, it only costs 7,000 points. Li Qi clicks to buy. With 7,000 points deducted from his account, a secret law book titled Distortion Eye appears before him. The soul's secret law, Distortion Eye, reshapes the form of the soul. Cultivating it causes some pain, the pain of the soul being remolded. During the refinements, the soul undergoes multiple transformations, finally recombining into the Distortion Eye. The process also purifies the soul. If a soul becomes purer, the killing intent absorbed from the blood mist can be worn away while cultivating the Distortion Eye. Closing the light screen, Li Qi opens the book. For now, cultivating the second layer of Distortion Eye to burn away a bit of killing intent and blunt its impact on his personality is enough. Still a few pages short of finishing the book, his eyes widen. He goes offline and exits the virtual universe. Back in the Blood Luo world, in the ancient god ruins, Li Qi sits in the thick mist and turns his head. A figure in light blue armor staggers into view. He has blood-red eyes, long tangled hair, and his armor and face are smeared with dirt. He looks wrecked. Kill, he mutters, stumbling on. After probing, Li Qi estimates, universe level 9th order. Because his will was weak, he couldn't resist the pollution of the killing consciousness and has become a puppet of it. The armored figure staggers a while longer, then suddenly jerks his head and fixes his gaze on Li Qi. Kill! He must have noticed Li Qi. The man flickers, trailing a streak of red light, and charges. There is no clarity in his eyes. His will has completely fallen. Red light gleams in them as he drags a greatsword in his right hand and slashes down with terrifying force. Boom! The ground caves in where the blade strikes. Earth and rock scatter everywhere. Full power, he's operating on instinct alone. Li Qi moves in a flash, appearing behind him and slapping his head with his left hand. He doesn't use any law, domain, or secret law, only his genetic primal energy. The palm falls like a full power blow from a territoid rank 4th or 5th order, easily enough to crush an ordinary universe-level 9th order. Bang! The man's head explodes, and he collapses, dead. Mind power forms a quick barrier, stopping the spray of red and white matter. Li Qi flicks his hand and discards the foreign tissue. If the killing consciousness has reduced him to basic combat instinct, his strength is greatly diminished, probably only 2 or 3/10 of his peak, Li Qi thinks. He expands his mind power to sweep the area, ensuring no one else lies in wait, then sits cross-legged. After this period of transformation in the blood mist, he decides he can attempt to fuse with the first Shuiluo crystal. To fuse with a Shuiluo crystal, one needs sufficient physical quality and soul will. My will has reached the limit of the Territory Lord rank, and it's stronger than most Territory Lords, so that requirement is met. As for my physique, although the body transformation hasn't lasted long, my life genetic primal energy is at a 128-fold level, giving me physical quality far above others of my rank. That should be enough. He scans the surroundings and finds the thickest patch of blood mist nearby, choosing it as his place to fuse the crystal. Using mind power, he drags the fallen armored man's body into a large pit and covers it with soil to hide it. Then he removes the black, ferocious gauntlet from his left hand and takes the triangular prism Shuiluo crystal from his spatial ring. The Shuiluo crystal is a treasure of the Blood Luo continent. The process to fuse with it isn't secret. Everyone knows the method, and it's simple in description, but fiendishly difficult to accomplish. Hiss. Li Qi hooks his right index finger and makes a long cut across his left palm. He sets the Shuiluo crystal onto the wound. Chapter 184, The Power of Shuiluo and the Image of the Beast God. The Blood River crystal, a dazzling gem cold as dawn, touched the wound. The instant fresh blood flowed over its surface. A strange, invisible force erupted from the crystal, as if some peerless, vicious beast long suppressed suddenly surged into Li Qi's body. His composed expression warped. Li Qi gritted his teeth. Veins bulged along his arms. "This pain is worse than refining the distortion eye," he muttered. Boom! A ferocious slaughtering will descended and slammed into his sea of consciousness. "Kill! Kill!" The roars echoed through his mind. That tyrannical intent collided with Li Qi's own will again and again. This was a pure test of willpower, different from consciousness. Consciousness relied on the depth of mind power. Will depended on belief. An apprentice-level fighter's will could still overwhelm a world lord's. "Break for me," Li Qi commanded. The distortion eye in his sea of consciousness spun furiously, and his territory lord rank limit will shattered the slaughtering intent. The instant the slaughtering consciousness split, the Blood River crystal's true fundamental power erupted. Red threads of energy streamed from the crystal and flooded into Li Qi. His body convulsed. Muscles twisted, his skin sometimes hardened into armor, then cracked and bled. Arms bulged, veins alternated between transparent crystal-like tubes and shining gold. Heat seared through him, then in an instant he was frozen as if smothered by absolute cold. The pain far exceeded anything he experienced while cultivating the distortion eye. Worse than the agony was the loss of control. His soul could not command his body. Li Qi felt his temperature spike to unbearable heights, then plummet to a numb, deathly cold. His fingernails lengthened into metal blades, then retracted. Fingers and even bones warped, palms reshaped into hooves, while dark hair sprouted across his hands, arms, legs, feet, and face. In moments he became a hairy, savage thing. Then the hair retracted as quickly as it had come. Black scales rose across his limbs and face. His body swelled taller and stronger. The metamorphoses continued for minutes until his consciousness, battered but unbroken, finally wrested control back, and the mutations faded. He staggered, exhaled, and stared at the healed wound on his palm. "I was careless," he admitted. "I knew fusing a Blood River crystal would be painful, but I didn't expect to lose control like that." He resolved to be better prepared next time, to find a safe place and to transplant the Guyu ancient tree branch from his world ring before attempting another fusion. Genetic primal energy surged within him. A warm heat rose and evaporated the sweat of that brutal fusion. He had fused the first Blood River crystal. Now he would test the Blood Luo power it granted. Closing his eyes, Li Qi tried to coax the new power out through subtle control of his cells. After a few careful attempts, a blood-red secret sigil bloomed on his bare chest beneath his armor. The moment the mark appeared, the world shifted. The sensation was exhilarating. He carefully probed his perceptions. Gold, wood, water, fire. earth, wind, lightning, light, time, space. Before fusing the crystal, his human main body had felt the wood origin law most strongly. After the fusion and activating blood Luo power, every origin law seemed clearer. Wood still stood out, but the four lower laws, gold, water, fire, and earth, were closely behind, and his perception of the space origin law had deepened significantly. Wind, lightning, light, and time were still hazy, only marginally clearer than before. I understand now why I once comprehended the earth origin law, he mused. Besides wood, I have a talent for the other four lower laws under space. He noted that his connection with the universe origin had tightened. That connection would make it easier to comprehend laws and would strengthen his secret techniques under the same level of comprehension. Having fused the first crystal, Li Qi decided to seek out denser blood mist. There were images of the gold beast god's battles in the ancient god ruins. He could study them. With a swift movement, he vanished and reappeared dozens of kilometers away. Over a month of searching later, Li Qi stood at the rim of a pit tens of thousands of kilometers across. It should be here, he said. For weeks, he had scanned high ridgelines for the pit that held the gold beast god's images. Along the way, he'd encountered more than a dozen natives of the Blood Luo continent, half of them warped by slaughtering will into murderous puppets. The blood mist here was thick and grew denser toward the pit's bottom. If the bottom is this heavy with blood mist, there must be native geniuses down there, he thought. I can't take that risk. Li Qi dropped into the pit and fell until he descended roughly 5,000 kilometers. He arrested his descent, carved an immortal cave into the rock wall, and moved inside. The pit was vast. The blood mist swirled and coalesced into shifting patterns that occasionally formed eerily lifelike scenes. He released the Guyu ancient tree branch to help comprehend space law, while his human main body sat at the cave entrance watching those blood mist images. After 2 months of patient observation, a hazy, colossal image hundreds of kilometers across appeared in the distance. A giant, lizard-like figure with a faintly visible horn pointing skyward, robust, thick-hoofed, and vast. In the blurring image, a tremendous palm descended from the sky. The gold-scaled beast god, hundreds of kilometers long in that apparition, reared and lunged, whipping its long tail to shatter the palm. The image dissipated, the evil chi thinned, and the form blurred away. That's it. Li Qi's mind captured the scene. The beast god's actions were simple. Lunge, tail whip, charge, strike, but the implication of those moves was profound. As if a single lunge could tear heaven and earth and a tail sweep could topple the sky. He split off a trace of consciousness and entered the virtual universe. In Rain Phase Mountain Original Area, Manor 115, Li Qi practiced alone on the training ground, repeating lunges and whip-like strikes. No, it's not like that, he murmured, refining each motion for human anatomy. A beast god's lunge and tail whip didn't translate directly to a human form. He had to adapt the concepts. With each simulated lunge and each whip kick, he brought the underlying force and concept closer to the original image. After a long session, he frowned. Using those two moves in human form still feels lacking. He had a plan to comprehend the beast god heart someday, but before that he needed to master the beast god concept itself. He resolved to find a way to acquire the gray jade statue before leaving the Blood Luo continent. Back in his immortal cave, Li Qi persisted. Over the course of the year, he observed all 3 of the gold beast god's battle images. The first showed the huge palm from the sky and the beast god lunging and tail whipping to shatter it. The second showed the beast god lowering its head, spear-like horn forward, charging in a straight collision. The third showed it raising a hoof and delivering a savage strike. From those 3 visions, he distilled 4 claw techniques adapted for a human form. The first image's lunge became a stealthy pounce he called Beast God Pounce. The tail whip evolved into a Beast God Tail Strike. The head-on charge became a direct claw strike he named Beast God Collision, and the raised hoof blow translated with only minor modification into Beast God Strike. With these 4 forms, his claw techniques grew considerably deadlier, earning continual praise from his undying mentor, the Guju Marquise. Years sped by, over 30 of them. Li Qi had moved his immortal cave down to 30,000 kilometers below the pit's rim. Time to go, he decided. He rose slowly. A simple but complete blood-red secret sigil marked his chest, the sign that he had fused 3 blood river crystals and become a blood warrior. In those 30-plus years, he had fused 2 more crystals and tempered his will through hardship, crossing the 7th island of the Illusion Sea. His will now rivaled and exceeded that of a normal world lord rank. Combined with superior physical quality, he had managed to fuse the 3rd crystal, even though his body modification had not yet reached its limit. Clad in black armor, he flew up from the pit and climbed through the layers until he reached the 18th cloud layer. Cheetah City. Time to get that gray jade statue, he said. He pulled his spaceship from his world ring, entered it, set coordinates for Cheetah City, and launched. In Eclipse Palace, a vast void realm palace charged with watching over the Blood Luo continent, a side chamber displayed a light screen feeding images of Li Qi leaving the ancient god ruins and taking out his spacecraft. His Highness Li Qi has left the ancient god ruins, one world lord commented. Unexpected, he stayed there over 30 years. Why return to the Blood Luo continent now? Another asked. Is he not planning to leave yet? World lords responsible for monitoring debated his strange comings and goings. One asked skeptically why Li Qi kept entering and exiting the continent. Outside the 18th cloud layer, aboard an E-class spaceship, Li Qi frowned. What's going on with the Cheetah City Lord? He had queried as usual, and found that the City Lord had only returned to Cheetah City once in over 30 years. The Blood Luo continent was impossibly vast. Searching for him directly would be like finding a needle in a haystack. Li Qi picked coordinates at random. The plan's ahead of schedule. I'll seize more blood river crystals. 3 years later, at Pine Mountain Lord City, a scaled giant wielding a wolf-tooth club sneered. Daring to cause trouble in my Pine Mountain territory, you don't want to live, he growled. Li Qi, armor black and visor down, answered with action. He blurred forward, and 2 afterimages masked his movement. Dark green light flared across his gauntleted hands. Beast God strike! A huge claw shadow slammed down like a crushing weight. Not good, the scaled man cried, raising his club to block. The dark green claw crashed into the wolf-tooth club and shattered it. The blow, only slightly diminished, continued into the man's head, crushing him, blow and body destroyed. Li Qi retrieved the storage item and flew straight to the 18th cloud layer. Pulling another E-class ship from his ring, he boarded and began tallying his gains. Author's note: after rereading the original work, I realized Blood Luo power only amplifies gene-like effects and is fixed. I wonder if I misunderstood something. Chapter 185, The Shueluo Medal and News of the Lord of Cheetah City. Inside an E-class spaceship, Li Qi went over the results of his efforts over the past 3 years. Including the blood river crystals he had taken before entering the ancient god ruins, his total now stood at 1,314 blood river crystals. I'll go to Cheetah City one more time, he thought. If the Lord of Cheetah City still hasn't returned, I'll claim the Blood Luo badge and leave the Blood Luo continent. He no longer had much hope for the gray jade statue, but he wanted to take one last look in Cheetah City. Piloting the ship to Cheetah City's coordinates, he stowed the craft and descended into the 18th cloud layer, falling until he landed in Cheetah City. He'd been here many times and knew the place well, but after a thorough search, he found no trace of the Cheetah City Lord. It seems that gray jade statue isn't meant for me, he sighed inwardly. Li Qi left Cheetah City and rose to the 18th cloud layer. Cheetah City was close to Cloud Bay World City, and Cloud Bay World City sold the famous Cloud Mist wine. He figured he might as well spend his remaining Blood Luo continent money before leaving. He took out the spaceship, entered it, and set coordinates for Cloud Bay World City. Cloud Bay World City. Li Qi, dressed in black armor and a cloak, entered the main city and blended in with the many other Blood Luo natives. As a world capital, it was far more prosperous than any territory capital he had visited. Races of many strange appearances mingled in the streets. He frowned slightly and reminded himself, to claim a Blood Luo badge, you had to go to a world-level City Lord's mansion, and it could only be issued after the City Lord's verification. To be a world-level City Lord, you had to be at least a World Lord who had fused with one Blood River crystal. Because fusing Blood River crystals sharpened a World Lord's comprehension of law, Any world lord on the Blood Luo continent who had fused long ago would naturally have a clearer perception of law than ordinary world lords elsewhere. Li Qi decided to stay low, get the badge, then leave. First, he went to buy Cloud Mist wine. Yunyan Pavilion was famous throughout Cloud Bay World for its Cloud Mist wine, and its prices reflected that. A third-rate family in a territory capital would probably be able to afford only a few visits even if they emptied their coffers. The decor inside Yunyan Pavilion was restrained and elegant rather than gaudy. A beautiful maid led him to a table behind a screen. "Please be seated, esteemed guest," she said. "May I ask if you've come for our Cloud Mist wine?" Li Qi smiled. "How did you know?" 9 out of 10 guests who come to Yunyan Pavilion come for the Cloud Mist wine," she replied. "It's 1,000 bao coins per bottle. Each person is limited to 1 bottle." "1 bottle?" Li Qi couldn't help being a little speechless. He produced a pouch from his spatial ring and took out 1,000 bao coins. The maid bowed and left. In less than a minute, she returned with a tiny vial, no more than 10 centimeters tall and only 5 or 6 centimeters across at its widest. It probably contained only 2 or 3 sips. Li Qi put the small bottle into his spatial ring and stood. "Forget it. I'll come back another time." "Please come again, esteemed guest," the maid said with a polite smile. As he left Yunyan Pavilion, a group of men and women standing nearby exchanged soft conversation. One of them glanced at him several times as if trying to place him. Just as Li Qi passed, someone called out, "Are you Mr. Li?" He turned and saw a man hurrying toward him. The man looked familiar. As he drew close, Li Qi recognized him. "Caxiu?" Caxiu smiled. "Mr. Li, I am Caxiu, Myers family of Fengyan City." Li Qi's memory reconstructed the young Caxiu from 30 years earlier. Time had made Caxiu mature in both appearance and bearing. Li Qi hadn't recognized him at first. "I didn't expect we'd meet again after more than 30 years, he said. Caxiu beamed. The people with him whispered among themselves, "Is this the Mr. Li Caxiu keeps mentioning? He looks so ordinary. He only seems to be at the peak of Yunxiao level. I heard Mr. Li once killed a peak Yunxiao martial artist in 2 moves. Just an ordinary peak Yunxiao. When I reach it, I'll do the same." Though skeptical, none of them spoke aloud. Caxiu, who believed Li Qi, said, "Mr. Li, are you just passing through Cloud Bay World City?" "Not really," Li Qi said. "I came mainly to buy Cloud Mist wine and to claim a Blood Luo badge." "Blood Luo badge?" At the words, people nearby stopped and turned. A Blood Luo badge signified a blood warrior, someone who had fused with 3 Blood River crystals. Blood warriors, though more common than the once-in-countless-years Black Warrior, were still rare across the vast Blood Luo continent. The men and women with Caxiu were startled, then doubtful. "That can't be real," one muttered. "This Mr. Li couldn't have fused with 3 Blood River crystals." But Caxiu was sincere and excited. "Mr. Li, you've become a blood warrior?" Li Qi nodded, a little helpless. "Yes, I originally wanted to buy the wine first, then claim the badge, but the purchase was limited." Caxiu's face fell for a moment, then he explained, "You may not know, but Yunyan Pavilion is an enterprise of the Cloud Bay World City Lord's Mansion. Because the wine is limited, only territory city lords and blood warriors who hold a Blood Luo badge can buy more than 1 bottle." "Is that so?" Li Qi understood the restriction. "Have you claimed your badge yet?" "No." "Why don't I take you to the City Lord's mansion to claim it?" "I'm very familiar with the place," Caxiu offered. Li Qi agreed. The group, Caxiu and his companions, moved toward the City Lord's mansion, attracting curious onlookers hoping to witness the appearance of a blood warrior. At the mansion, a few peak Yunxiao-level guards bowed slightly when they saw Caxiu. "Young Master Caxiu, this is Mr. Li," Caxiu said. "He is a blood warrior who has fused with 3 Blood River crystals. He wishes to claim his Blood Luo badge." The guards were astonished. None of them, even those who had served 100 years, had seen a blood warrior come to claim a badge before. One of them, clearly a captain, ordered, "Report," then respectfully added, "Please come this way, Mr. Kwa. Lie." "No need," Caxiu interjected. "I'll bring Mr. Li to the reception hall." He led Li Qi inside. The guards didn't stop those who accompanied Caxiu, but the curious crowd at the gate was held outside. Caxiu moved confidently through the mansion and brought Li Qi into a grand reception hall. The people who had been left outside exchanged excited whispers and then dispersed. convinced they had seen proof that Mr. Li had indeed fused with 3 Blood River crystals. Inside the reception hall, Li Qi and Coxu sat. "Mr. Li, you're truly amazing," Coxu said. "My father and my master forbade me from trying to fuse with Blood River crystals. Without firm will and a strong body, fusing is asking for trouble." "Why are you here? I thought you were in Fengyan territory," Li Qi asked. "My father brought me," Coxu answered. "The current city lord of Cloud Bay World City, my father's master, went to the immortal shrine to cultivate, so my father and my master's other disciples came to pay their respects." "All your master's disciples are here?" "Yes," Coxu nodded proudly. "My master was the Grandmaster's most outstanding disciple, and the only one who became world level. When he officially inherits the City Lord position, my junior and senior brothers will return to their respective territories." "So the Lord of Cheetah City is here," Li Qi thought, quietly pleased. He kept his expression neutral and asked aloud, "Is your master world level?" "Of course," Coxu said. "When my master succeeds as City Lord, it will be because he is world level." "Ah!" A hearty voice interrupted, and a burly man rose from the main seat of the reception hall. He gave Li Qi a glance that carried a restrained but dangerous aura. "Compared to Mr. Li, I'm only taking advantage of my age," he said with a laugh. "My name is Sang Kuang. Soon I'll succeed as City Lord of Cloud Bay World City." Sang Kuang continued, "Fusing Blood River crystals gets harder the more you do it. I fused my second many years ago and have not been able to fuse a third. I am far inferior to Mr. Li." "Lord Sang Kuang is too kind," Li Qi replied respectfully. "I was just lucky." "Don't be modest," Sang Kuang said. "There's no such thing as luck with Blood River fusions." He raised his hand in invitation. "Since you have come to claim your Blood Luo badge, please prove that you are a Blood Warrior." Coxu's eyes shone with curiosity. Li Qi removed his cloak, armor, and inner shirt, bared his upper body, and activated his Blood Luo power. Blood-red sigils appeared across his chest, simple in form, but unified and filled with a mysterious force that sharply increased his compatibility with the cosmic origins. Coxu's look turned to envy and awe. This is the mark of a Blood Warrior." Sang Kuang examined the complete blood-red pattern and nodded in praise. "A complete Blood Luo pattern. You truly have fused with 3 Blood River crystals." He took out a carved badge, palm-sized and dark red with faint etchings, and handed it to Li Qi. "2 days from now, I'll succeed as City Lord of Cloud Bay World City. If you're not in a hurry, please attend the succession ceremony and the banquet afterward. All my senior brothers and junior martial uncles will be there. I'll introduce you to them so you can look after each other from now on." Hearing that all the disciples would attend, Li Qi's mind stirred. If the Lord of Cheetah City was among them, he could meet him openly. He accepted Sang Kuang's invitation. "I will attend the succession ceremony and the banquet in 2 days. As for the combat power bonus of Blood Luo power, calculate it the same as in the original work, 1 times, 3 times, and 10 times. I still feel that a 10 times amplification after fusing 100 Blood River crystals is a bit too extreme." Chapter 186, Trading and Killing Intent. After Li Qi received the Blood Luo badge and agreed to attend Sang Kuang's succession ceremony and banquet as the next City Lord of Cloud Bay World City, he and Coxu left the reception hall together and headed toward Yunyan Pavilion. As they walked, Coxu recounted his experiences over the past 30 years, asking an occasional question. Li Qi mostly listened, answering here and there. They arrived at Yunyan Pavilion not long after. When the pretty maid at the reception saw Li Qi produce the Blood Luo badge, proof of his status as a Blood Warrior, she covered her mouth in shock. Blood? A Blood Warrior? She could hardly believe that this youthful guest was the legendary Blood Warrior. Word of that spread through the lobby. The other maids and guests looked on in astonishment or admiration. A Blood Warrior who had fused 3 Blood River crystals was a living legend, rarer even than a domain-level expert. Li Qi asked, "You said earlier that Union Pavilion allows Blood Warriors and Territory Lords to buy 30 bottles of Cloud Mist wine at once, right?" "Yes, Blood Warrior, sir," the maid replied, bowing slightly, hands on her abdomen. "As a Blood Warrior, you may purchase 30 bottles at once. You also enjoy an 80% discount on all purchases." "All right, 30 bottles then. Please follow me, Blood Warrior." The maid led them to the pavilion's rear storeroom. When she opened the door, Li Qi couldn't help a slight smile. The bottles were not at all what he'd imagined. More than 50 jade wine jars were neatly arranged, each holding 2 to 3 gin of cloud mist wine, far more than the single bottle sold in the front hall for 1,000 bao coin. Here you can choose 30 bottles, the maid said. The price per bottle is still 1,000 bao coin. You call these bottles? Caxiu said incredulously. Then what was I buying earlier for 1,000 bao coin in the main hall? The method of consumption is different, the maid explained with a smile. The quantity served when drinking in the pavilion is slightly greater than a separately purchased bottle. Caxiu scowled. So I paid hundreds or thousands more for a sip or two. There's no limit to how much cloud mist wine you can order while consuming in the pavilion, she replied. Caxiu waved it off with a bitter smile. Never mind, this Yunyan pavilion will eventually belong to my master anyway. Consider it filial piety money. The maid appeared unsurprised, as if she already knew Caxiu's identity. While they spoke, Li Qi had already chosen 30 jars and placed them into his spatial ring. He set a large pouch containing 30,000 bao coin on the floor. The maid raised her hand. A flash of light from the delicate wrist guard on her wrist swallowed the pouch and it vanished. The purchase completed, Li Qi and Caxiu left Yunyan Pavilion and returned to the city lord's mansion. Before they passed through the gate, 2 men walked out from the mansion and approached them. Their lips moved slightly, sound transmission. When they saw Li Qi and Caxiu, one of them frowned, displeasure obvious. Caxiu stepped forward and bowed. Greetings, 2 senior martial uncles. One of the 2 nodded politely. The other snorted and showed open displeasure. After they had gone, Caxiu transmitted, "Those 2 are my master's junior brothers. The one who frowned is Cheetah City Lord. He's long had a grudge against my father." Cheetah City Lord's square-faced middle-aged appearance was not matched by an honorable bearing. He had a sinister edge. Li Qi's heart thudded. He'd finally seen the man he'd been looking for. 2 days later, Song Kuang's succession ceremony was held. The ceremony was lavish, befitting the World Lord's status, but the real surprise for Li Qi came at the banquet afterward. Song Kuang rose, raised his cup, and announced, "Everyone, I'd like to solemnly introduce a genius who will one day shake this region." Those who knew Song Kuang's meaning turned their heads toward Li Qi. Song Kuang drew the moment out, then lifted his cup toward Li Qi, seated in the 3rd seat on the right. The newly born blood warrior of Cloud World, Li, a chorus of surprise and murmurs rippled through the hall. Many territory lords raised their cups to congratulate Song Kuang as much as congratulate Li Qi. When a world produces a blood warrior, the world lord gains a reward from the immortal shrine. A Yunxiao-level blood warrior, in particular, was a highly prized prospect with great future cultivation value. After the formal congratulations, the banquet resumed. Li Qi exchanged a few sound transmissions at intervals and drank with various guests. Late that night, as the crowd dispersed, Li Qi intercepted Cheetah City Lord at the exit. "Cheetah City Lord, please wait." The city lord's expression was unfriendly. "What do you, a blood warrior, want with me?" "I want to make a trade," Li Qi said. "A trade?" Cheetah sneered. "I'm not interested." He shoved past Li Qi and began to move away. Li Qi didn't step back. He moved to block him, surprising the onlookers who watched the blood warrior square off with a peak domain expert. "What is the meaning of this?" Cheetah's eyes narrowed, a dangerous glint appearing. "I said I want to make a—" Li Qi started. "I told you I'm not interested," Cheetah said coldly and tried to leave. But as he turned away, a voice not spoken aloud slipped into his mind. "A world-level peak battle blade." Cheetah froze. The words were irresistible. High-grade metal resources were scarce across Blood Luo continent. World-level weapons were prized and rare. What Cheetah currently used was only a peak domain-level blade. "You have a world-level peak battle blade?" he asked, urgency betraying him. "Of course," Li Qi transmitted. "Otherwise I wouldn't say it. Follow me." Cheetah led Li Qi to a secluded courtyard inside the city lord's mansion. "Explain," Cheetah said coldly. "How did you get a world-level peak battle blade?" "It came from the ancient god ruins," Li Qi replied. "I fused the 3 Blood River crystals there." Cheetah's expression shifted at that. "So you really went to the ancient god ruins?" He was interested now. "If the origin is clean, take it out. I want to see its quality. Li Qi smiled and casually drew a dark silver blade from his spatial ring, a sword just over a meter long, patterned along its length, its surface the color of old steel. It had clearly been tempered long ago, yet the edge remained keen, as if it could cut through anything. Cheetah was instantly captivated. The weapon seemed made for him, his heart pounded. "And what do you want in return?" Cheetah asked. "A statue," Li Qi said. "I heard you have a strange gray jade statue. I want it." Cheetah's expression darkened. He hesitated, then said, "Fine, let's trade." "Wait," Li Qi raised a hand. "I need to be sure that gray jade statue is what I need." Cheetah produced a grayish-white statue, about 30 centimeters tall, horned and scaled. For an instant, a faint roar seemed to echo in Li Qi's mind. Seeing the statue's back gave him the same shuddering impression as glimpsing a beast god turned from him, sharp, fierce, and undeniably alive. The aura was fleeting. The statue vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. "Is this the statue?" Cheetah asked. Li Qi composed himself and nodded. "Yes, that's the one I want." They set terms. Li Qi placed his dark silver E9 level alloy blade beside him. Cheetah pulled off his storage wrist guard and tossed it to Li Qi. Li Qi stamped his spiritual imprint on the wrist guard to secure the trade. As soon as he had done so, Cheetah's hand closed on the blade and he grabbed it. Li Qi opened the storage wrist guard to check the statue, and his face fell. There was no gray jade statue inside, only a small, cheap-looking beast figurine. Cheetah smiled with contempt. "Isn't this the statue you asked for? Same material, same shape." Li Qi flipped his palm, bringing the cheap figurine into view to show exactly what was in the wrist guard. The little beast was nothing but a carving, no divine presence, no will, no aura, merely the appearance of a beast god statue. "You'll hand me the real one," Li Qi demanded, voice cold. Cheetah sneered. "Why would I give away the statue I obtained, one with true divine charm? There are plenty of looks-alikes around. I'm not giving up the real thing." Li Qi's expression hardened. "Hand it over." Cheetah's lips curled. He gauged Li Qi by the badge on his chest, then tried to leave. Moving with a speed technique meant to sidestep him. Whoosh! 3 times he used that movement, but each time Li Qi intercepted him. Cheetah stopped in disbelief. "What is this trick?" he barked. "How can you keep blocking me?" Li Qi's eyes went ice cold. "I'll say it again. Hand over the statue." Humiliated to be stalled by someone he considered far lower, Cheetah snarled, "Don't think that because you're a Yunxiao-level blood warrior protected by the immortal shrine, I'm afraid to touch you. The strength of a peak territory lord is not something you, no matter how high your status, can compare to." "Touch me?" Li Qi's eyes flashed with killing intent. He spoke like a man staring down his own executioner. "Do you really think I wouldn't dare to kill you?" Chapter 107, Strong Kill and Leaving the World of Shuiluo. "Kill me." Cheetah City Lord laughed furiously and swung his dark silver battle blade at Li Qi. "If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll really think domain-level experts are easy to mess with." Metal rang sharply, the sound wave scattering dust in all directions. Li Qi's gaze was cold. His left hand, encased in a black, savage gauntlet, had already gripped the back of the blade. "How is this possible?" Cheetah's brow tightened. "I'm a peak domain-level expert. My base strength is 1,000 times that of a peak Yunxiao level. Even if I weren't using my full power, he shouldn't be able to stop me." As Cheetah tried to pull the blade back, a strange fluctuation of law hit him. "What is this?" His face changed in an instant. He raised his left arm to block and activated a storage ring to pull out a shield. A snarling gauntlet, black and like a horn, smashed into his forearm. Law-infused force burst through bone. Crack! Cheetah's arm shattered, blood spraying. Then a weakened but devastating punch struck his chest. Crack! His sternum fractured. He coughed up a mouthful of blood and stared in stunned disbelief. Such intense law fluctuations. How could a Yunxiao level possibly wield this? As a peak domain level who had fused with a Blood River crystal, Cheetah could sense the presence of law, though he had not comprehended it. Even more humiliating, Li Qi, merely a peak Yunxiao level, had high law comprehension, higher, it seemed, than his world-level senior brother Sun Kuang. "Who exactly are you?" he managed to voice before Li Qi's blow sent him flying like a cannonball. Whoosh! Li Qi's figure streaked after him. Close beside Cheetah's tumbling body, Li Qi's voice dropped cold. "The one who's going to kill you." "Mr. Li, don't make a mistake. Panic and fear erased the city lord's arrogance. The former city lord of Cloud Bay World City is my teacher. The new city lord is my senior brother. If you kill me, you'll be in big trouble. Boom, boom, boom. Blood flew as Cheetah's body smashed through walls and carved a long trench in the earth. He dared not stop. Driving himself forward was his only hope. He even activated his domain to try to suppress Li Qi and slow him down. He didn't understand why Li Qi was so powerful, only that the killing intent on him was absolute. Without strong reinforcements, he would be dead. But Li Qi was already shrouded in a green domain, unaffected by Cheetah's attempt at suppression. His speed did not drop. Blood warrior Mr. Li wants to kill me. Senior brother, save me. Cheetah broadcast his appeal across the entire city lord's mansion, pleading for aid even at the cost of his pride. In another courtyard of the mansion, Caxiu froze when Cheetah's shout reached him. Mr. Li, chasing Cheetah City Lord? He thought. It sounded absurd. How could a peak Yunxiao hunt down a peak domain level? Those gathered rushed outside. Hearing the voice transmission, everyone in the city lord's mansion was stunned. What's happening? Is there a fight? It's Cheetah City Lord. He says Blood Warrior Mr. Li is trying to kill him. This is ridiculous. Cheetah is a peak domain level. How could he be chased by a peak Yunxiao named Li Qi? Chengfeng never respected senior brother Sang Kuang, but now he broadcast to the whole mansion asking for Sang Kuang's help. He must be desperate. Go! Let's see! Whoosh! Streaks of light as figures launched into the night sky from courtyards across the mansion. When Cheetah's call went out, Sang Kuang, Cloud Bay City's only world lord-ranked expert, opened his eyes. Chengfeng is calling for help. Bang! The rooftop exploded outward as Sang Kuang appeared in the sky. His mind power spread, and his world projection unfolded, covering the entire city lord's mansion. No one can save you, his projection announced. Li Qi caught up to Cheetah. A world projection wrapped them both, and the projection's binding force drastically slowed their movements, making escape nearly impossible. Mr. Li, Sang Kuang's voice rang in everyone's minds. Stop! Elated that Sang Kuang had arrived, Cheetah sent another pleading transmission. Senior brother, save me! I said, no one can save you. Sang Kuang's projection tightened. Li Qi's killing intent did not waver under the world projection's suppression. He activated Blood Luo power. Across his chest, under his armor, blood-red patterns bloomed, simple but intricate sigils that doubled the potency of his law attacks. At the same time, world power surged and a small tree, only a meter tall, materialized. A Guyu ancient tree branch, a Guyu ancient tree clone. Guyu cage. The branch's genetic primal energy flared, and it unleashed its innate technique, Guyu cage. A strange law fluctuation, woven of wood origin and space origin laws, exploded outward. Pale green light fanned from the branch, and the power within was astonishing. The Guyu cage burned through the branch's genetic primal energy in under a breath, but that brief instant was enough. The Guyu cage pierced the world projection's binding. Sang Kuang saw Li Qi break free and urgently sent, Mr. Li, stop it! Die! Li Qi ignored him. Fully freed from the projection, he released his full might. Annihilation. 2. Beast God's Strike. A colossal claw shadow, dark and without light, tore through space like a beast god's talon and slammed down. No. Cheetah, suppressed by the world projection, could only stare as the beast claw descended. It obliterated what little remained of his vitality. Splat! The attack shredded his head. The rest of his body was crushed into pulp. His life core, hidden somewhere in his body, was smashed. He died on the spot. Like a video game boss collapsing, his fragile storage ring shattered and all its contents scattered. Li Qi didn't pause to examine the items. He swept them into his world ring. Mr. Li, you're asking for death. Sang Kuang's voice roared in fury. He had meant only to teach Cheetah a lesson, hence the world projection. He did not expect Li Qi to break the projection and kill Cheetah outright. Enraged, Sang Kuang, World Lord rank, Stage 3, struck out with a massive law-infused palm at Li Qi, who was still in the projection's area. But an E9-level spaceship suddenly appeared before Li Qi, its hatch yawning open. Sang Kuang's blow smacked into the spaceship's alloy hull and sent the craft flying, which gave Li Qi the opportunity to slip inside. Launch, Li Qi thought, and the ship's intelligent brain obeyed. The spaceship accelerated, tearing through the projection's bounds and streaking upward. What? Sang Kuang was taken aback by the huge metallic craft. He hadn't expected such a mount. The realization hit him hard. Mr. Li is an outsider. As a World Lord-ranked expert, Song Kuang knew some of Blood Luo continent's secrets. Outsiders could come down easily, yet for some unknown reason, they rarely descended. Worse, those who dared to break through the 18th cloud layer were killed by the external races. His teeth ground. Damn outsiders! Song Kuang shot after the E9 ship, intent on the chase, if only to save face. His junior brother had been killed before his eyes, and Li Qi had made a mockery of him, dragging domains in for the succession ceremony and inviting the Immortal Shrine's attention. His face, pride, everything had been lost. In the Eclipse Palace's side hall, World Lords monitored Blood Luo continent. They watched the E-level spaceship climb while a World Lord-ranked expert pursued it. Faces were grim. Attention! Li Qi is leaving Blood Luo continent. If the Blood Luo World Lord following Li Qi dares to cross the 18th cloud layer, kill him immediately. Understood. The spaceship roared higher, easily smashing free of Sang Kuang's world projection. Sang Kuang pushed through cloud layer after cloud layer in pursuit, but when he reached the 18th cloud layer, he halted. He dared not go higher. From where he hung, he could only watch helplessly as the ship accelerated toward the layers, the craft a shining speck against the night. Still, once Li Qi had control of the ship and had broken the projection, he did not press straight into the void realm. For now, he did not want to leave Blood Luo continent. He had the statue he came for. Li Qi swept his divine thought over his world ring. Among the spoils that had spilled from Cheetah's broken storage was the strange gray jade beast god statue. He breathed easier. I had planned to trade peacefully, exchange the statue for some E-level metal weapons. They weren't very useful to me. Unfortunately, Cheetah City Lord didn't play fair. He sighed softly. I hope Kaxiu is all right. Li Qi and Kaxiu had a reasonable relationship. Hardly close friends, more like rescuer and rescued. If Kaxiu came through unscathed and without complications from Li Qi's being an outsider, that would be best. If not, Li Qi felt only a small tug of emotion. Their bond wasn't that deep. He examined the gray jade beast god statue. A faint but fierce aura rose off it. Low, feral growls echoed in his mind. He noticed something odd. From the back, the statue looked fine, but from the front, its left foreclaw was missing. The break was unnaturally smooth. Missing claw. Wait. Li Qi remembered a beast claw carving he already owned, a gray jade beast claw with a peculiar aura he'd bought at Fengling Pavilion in Fengyan City. He withdrew it from his storage ring. The two gray jade pieces had very similar auras. Could they be parts of the same statue? He tried fitting the two pieces together with his mind power. The result proved it. The pieces came from the same original beast god statue. When the claw merged with the statue, the aura surged, fiercer than before. It really is the same statue. Li Qi's eyes widened, though he frowned slightly. They fit, but there's still a seam from the original break. After examining it a bit more, he returned the statue to his world ring. His identity as an outsider had been exposed, but with the continent's communications, it would take time for the news to spread everywhere. The Blood Demon Sea's seawater could temper, fortify one's will. If he went to the far west of the continent, he could collect some seawater. The inner seawater was too intense. It required an extremely strong will. The outer sea was weaker, and someone with a slightly stronger universe rank could use it. It was a pity he couldn't take the blood mist from the ancient god ruins. The mist tempered the will with gentler side effects, though it bred bloodthirst. The Blood Demon Sea's seawater was different and dangerous. There was no gradual strengthening. Once used, either the will withstands the killing intent or it is eaten away, leaving only a puppet that knows how to kill. Li Qi set the ship's intelligent brain to calculate the Blood Demon Sea coordinates and headed there. The Blood Demon Sea was hazardous. Aside from the lethal seawater, desolate sea beasts prowled its waters. Still, Li Qi had no interest in those beasts. He reached the sea by spaceship, collected both inner and outer sea samples in small sealed vials, and then left the Blood Demon Sea. Once he was clear of the sea, Li Qi left Blood Luo continent and entered the Void Realm. In the quiet of the ship, he reviewed what he'd gained on the mission. I made a mistake. Yesterday, I posted the leave request chapter in the wrong place, the related works section. Chapter 188, Harvest, and the Gift of the Lord of the Sky Eclipse Palace. The Blood Luo world mission, this time, more than justified the nearly 40 years I spent on it. I've gained a lot. Inside the E9 class spaceship, Li Qi's consciousness swept through his world ring and space ring, cataloging everything he'd collected over the past 40-odd years. There were 1,314 Blood River crystals, a slightly damaged gray jade beast god statue, samples of seawater from both the inner and outer seas of the Blood Demon Sea, and 30 jars of low-grade cloud mist wine. The biggest prizes are the 1,314 Blood River crystals and that gray jade beast god statue. It's incomplete, but it still carries the beast god's divine aura. He pulled the 1,314 Blood River crystals into his hands and considered them. Blood River crystals are treasures even among king-level Undying. I remember in the original account, they caused a sensation when auctioned in the Grand Alliance. He reviewed the limits in his mind. A Blood River crystal fusion cap is probably around 100. As my life gene level rises, fusing these will get easier. He also reminded himself that only undying spiritual gods could integrate Blood River crystals into their divine bodies. If my human main body dies and I can't recover the remains, I'll have to rely on fusing these to get my Blood Luo power back, so these crystals must be kept safe. When I'm strong enough, I can also share them with outstanding juniors in the family. He sealed the crystals into his world ring, then examined the slightly broken gray jade beast god statue. He felt a twinge of regret. A broken mirror is hard to mend. Once a beast god statue is incomplete, it stays that way. He wondered whether the Golden Horn race had already joined the human race. If so, he could someday go to them to study the statue and the engravings left by a universe overlord-level cultivator named Hirodo. For now, it would have to do. Maybe it'll be enough until I break through to undying spiritual god. A blood-red badge materialized in his hand, the Blood Luo badge, proof he'd fused 3 Blood River crystals to become a blood warrior, worth 100,000 points. He stored it away and examined the storage devices he'd brought back. Nearly 80% held seawater from the Blood Demon Sea's outer sea. The rest came from the inner sea. The seawater's tempering power is extreme, but the side effects are heavy. With only 1 or 2 universe-rank members in the family, they can't use it yet. Li Qi thought back over the decades he'd cultivated in the ancient god ruins. His will had advanced, from barely passing the 5th level of the Illusion Sea to clearing the 7th island. Much of that had come from constant exposure to the blood mist and from using a small amount of inner sea water while practicing the soul secret art, Distortion Eye. Both had tempered his will effectively. Harvest summary complete. The spaceship had already left the outer perimeter of Blood Luo continent. In the distant Void Realm, a towering palace shrouded in mist came into view. The Eclipse Palace, which exerted its suppression over the Blood Luo world. The ship headed straight for it. Blood Luo World, Cloud Bay World City, the City Lord's mansion. Sang Kuang, the current City Lord and a World Lord rank 3, sat in a private chamber with 2 others, Coxiu, his favored junior disciple, and Kelong, Coxiu's father and Sang Kuang's recently accepted disciple. If it weren't for those two's connections to him, Sang Kuang would have liked to push all the blame onto someone else to protect his future Immortal Shrine audit. I've already reported to the Undying Spiritual God that Li Qi is an outsider, Sang Kuang said. Now we have to think about how to handle the Immortal Shrine's inquiry. Senior brother, Kalang said. Li Qi hid himself well. Many domain-level cultivators here didn't even detect he was an outsider. It was you who saw through him. Sang Kuang nodded with a satisfied look, then turned to Coxiu. What do you think? Coxiu spoke carefully. Master, first, why did Li Qi kill senior martial uncle Chengfeng? There was no known enmity between them. Sang Kuang's expression said enough without him having to speak openly. Perhaps Li Qi killed Chengfeng because of some connection to them or to protect them. Keelang suggested, did senior brother Chengfeng have something Li Qi wanted? I once mentioned Chengfeng had a peculiar statue. I also heard senior martial uncle Chengfeng had a mysterious statue, Coxiu added. Li Qi has always been interested in rare treasures. Maybe he killed him for that statue. Sang Kuang listened and realized the two had already agreed on a narrative. He remembered that Li Qi's actions after killing junior brother Chengfeng had indeed suggested a motive centered on treasure. That's it. Li Qi found out Chengfeng had a rare statue, seized it, and killed him. If the Immortal Shrine asks, that's our answer. With Sangquang's conclusion, the matter of the outsider Li Qi killing Cheetah's city lord was settled, at least as far as they were concerned. Whoosh! From the colossal Eclipse Palace in the Void Realm, larger than an average planet, a small black triangular ship shot out toward Li Qi's E9 ship. A voice transmitted to him. Your Highness Li Qi, greetings. I am Qing Chu, the Eclipse Palace's welcoming envoy. Congratulations on completing your Blood Luo World training. Please follow me into the Eclipse Palace. Under Qing Chu's guidance, Li Qi soon arrived at a vast hall on the palace's first floor, thousands of kilometers across. Many ships filled the hall. The most common were E-class ships, with fewer F-class vessels further back. World Lord Qing Chu, clad in a silver battlesuit, blue-skinned and solidly built, led him with barely concealed envy. Your Highness, please come with me. Our palace master has arranged a ship to send you back to the primitive mystical region. A ship arranged by the Sky Devour Palace Master? Li Qi blinked. The Sky Devour Palace Master was a top-tier universe overlord of the human race, a figure whose rank was just below a universe lord. Why would he personally arrange a ship? He was ushered to a sword-shaped vessel whose hatch opened to reveal a handsome purple-haired man radiating undying spiritual god authority. Qing Chu saluted respectfully. Greetings, Undying. I am Marquis Lixiao, the purple-haired man said. By the Palace Master's order, I will escort your Highness back to the primitive mystical region. Li Qi bowed slightly. Thank you, Marquis Lixiao. Please, Your Highness, Marquis Lixiao replied, and the hatch closed. Under Qing Chu's watchful gaze, the sword ship departed the Eclipse Palace. On the palace's 9th floor, in a hall bathed by the starry void, a silver-robed man with long reddish-brown hair watched the departing sword ship. He murmured with satisfaction, KD, Li Qi, Ju Mengluo. He smiled. 3 geniuses born in less than 100,000 years, each the kind that appears once every million epochs. KD and Li Qi were associated with the Virtual Universe Corporation. Ju Mengluo had appeared in the Great Axe battleground 50,000 years ago. Because of Li Qi's rapid progress and his recent clearing of the 7th island of the Illusion Sea, many top cultivators already considered him a once-in-a-million epochs genius. In Primordial Chaos City, after 30 years, their Heavenly Bridge records read 10 levels, 9 levels, 8 levels. Most of the senior exalts and champions in the Virtual Universe Corporation still expected KD to achieve the most, though many believed Li Qi's future would rival or even surpass him. Betting had begun inside the Virtual Universe Corporation on which genius would ultimately dominate. When the Heavenly Bridge record of Ju Mengluo was recently broken, high-ranking members of the Great Axe Battleground were upset and joined the wagering. The competition among the 3 geniuses had become a spectacle across the 5 great giants, a major event for the human race. I wonder who will rise highest, the Palace Master mused. If Li Qi comes from behind, that'll be interesting. Though he privately favored KD, the Sky Devour Palace Master still hoped Li Qi might surpass expectations. As one of the human race's 3 top-tier universe overlords, he suspected there were hidden rivalries among universe lords and so abstained from betting. Still, since Li Qi visited the Eclipse Palace, he'd prepared a small gift, nothing that would interfere with the competition. Inside the F-class sword ship, Marquis Lixiao and Li Qi sat in the reception room. Besides arranging your return, the Palace Master asked me to present a gift, the Marquis said. Li Qi looked surprised. A gift? 1 ton of ultimate flame void gold. Li Xiao produced a nearly transparent crystal threaded with faint gold veins. This ultimate flame void gold is a G-grade metal. Don't be deceived by its small appearance. Its auction value can reach 5 to 700,000 Hunyuan units. He placed the gem in Li Qi's hand with a hint of envy. Ultimate Flame Void Gold is extremely precious for weapon forging. Before you become an undying spiritual god, you can buy standardized weapons, but once you reach undying, you'll want a weapon tailored to your unique secret technique. Adding Ultimate Flame Void Gold as an ingredient greatly improves a weapon's quality. Even a single palm-sized piece weighing a ton is incredibly rare among G-grade materials. Thank you, Sky Devour Palace Master. Li Qi accepted the palm-sized 1-ton piece and wondered why a being like the Sky Devour Palace Master would give him something worth hundreds of thousands of hunyuan. To such a top-tier universe overlord, that sum was trivial. Perhaps he sees potential in me, Li Qi thought. He was still only a universe-ranked junior and had little to merit such attention, aside from raw talent and a favorable reputation with the Palace Master's peers. This trip back to the primitive mystical region will take several months, Marquise Lixiao said. Now that the Palace Master's gift has been delivered, I won't disturb your rest. Li Qi thanked him again. Marquise Lixiao left, secretly nursing a desire to buy the ultimate flame void gold from Li Qi. Such materials were tightly controlled by the 5 great giants and scarce in the open market. Facing Li Qi, a genius favored by the Palace Master and a disciple of a universe exalt, the Marquis dared not make an offer. Li Qi turned the heavy palm-sized metal over in his mind with a smile. Ultimate Flame Void Gold, a rare G-grade alloy. Someday, when he forged his own weapon, mixing in some of this metal would markedly boost its quality. Even blending it into F-class ship metal could turn a 6th-tier weapon into a 7th. Still, forging weapons was a distant concern. My current goal is to pass the Heavenly Bridge's 10th level, he murmured, and slipped the ultimate flame void gold into his world ring. If he could reach Heavenly Bridge level 10 within 500 years, he would pass his teacher Ice Peak Lord's test and become a personal disciple, a step that would also restore his eldest senior brother. Nearly 40 years in the Blood Luo world had honed his will, and he'd also studied space law with a clone in the primitive mystical region manner, practiced secret techniques in the virtual universe, and received 3 guidance sessions from his 7th senior brother, Lingtu Venerable. His law comprehension had not stalled. Heavenly Bridge, Li Qi said, eyes sharpening. These years of cultivation have improved my comprehension. I can try for the 9th level now. He linked into the virtual universe. On the Tongqin Bridge plain, the central island plaza remained beautiful and unchanged. Guardian Boffin had stood watch there for countless years. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the plaza's center, a black-haired young man in a black battlesuit. It's Li Qi, Guardian Boffin thought. He's been away from Primordial Chaos City for nearly 40 years. He's finally back to challenge the Heavenly Bridge. Guardian Boffin, sir, Li Qi asked, is anyone on the Godtree Tongqin Bridge? Guardian Boffin smiled. No one is on the Godtree Tongqin Bridge. You may enter. Li Qi nodded and transformed into a streak of light to ascend the Heavenly Bridge. Watching him go, Guardian Boffin mused that, given Li Qi's rate of progress, he might clear the 9th level this time. He promptly sent a mass notice to the senior cultivators of the 5 great giants, to the contemporaries and geniuses of Li Qi's generation, and to the universe rank members of the primitive mystical region and the highest beginning mythical region, letting them know a potential breakthrough was about to occur. Chapter 189, Influence, the 9th level and Man-Li Virtual Universe, Rainphase Mountain Original Area. Li Qi is going to challenge the Heavenly Bridge. I've got to go watch. Whether you reach Territory Lord rank depends on whether he can pass the 9th level today. When word spread that Li Qi was attempting the Heavenly Bridge, Kriya and Ural grew nervous and immediately entered the Tongqian Bridge plain to watch. As the 2 weakest universe rank elders in the primitive mystical region, both of their laws hovered at the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge. If Li Qi passed the 9th level, their chances of keeping a primitive mystical region berth in the Secret Realm contest 60 years from now would dim. There are only 3 universe rank slots assigned to the primitive mystical region, and 5 universe rank cultivators currently occupy it. When the Secret Realm competition comes, those who rank lower in the region risk being forced into cross-region contests with the top candidates from the highest beginning mythical region, meaning the primitive mystical region will lose 2 of its current 5. Right now, the region's order is clear. KD, who cleared the 10th level, sits at the top. Among the elders, the strongest is the dragon human Wu Shewin, who recently passed the 9th level. After her come the 3 who have reached the 8th level, Li Qi, Kriya, and Ural. If Li Qi advances to the 9th level, Kriya and Ural will face hard choices, either push to break through to Territory Lord rank or risk elimination in the coming contest. Wu Shiwen read Guardian Baffin's notice with a calm expression. With two small dragon horns and pale scales on her face and hands, she was the only elder who had already passed the 9th level. Even if Li Qi reached the same height, she was confident she could defeat him. Past competitions had shown 8th level lawmasters could sometimes overcome 9th level ones. With her margin, she felt secure. At Demon Mountain, in the highest beginning mythical region, KD sat in a cold cave. His awareness, partly extended into the virtual universe, had finished reading the same notice. He thought privately, "Fortunately, I'm 2 levels ahead. After I finish this Demon Mountain mission, I'll challenge the Heavenly Bridge." The mission was desperate level, with a 90% mortality rate. Even KD couldn't afford distractions. In the prehistoric zone at Yushang Mountain, Manlei opened Guardian Baffin's message and immediately went to the Tongqian Bridge Plain to watch Li Qi's attempt. Fei, the fox human in the same zone, had long since abandoned comparing herself to Li Qi and focused instead on securing her highest beginning mythical region spot. Nuno, who was in the middle of a cultivation mission, quietly closed the message and continued. He was simply too far behind. Li Qi had nearly 3 times as many cleared Heavenly Bridge levels as he did. Beyond those in the primitive mystical region, many high-ranking figures who received Guardian Baffin's alert tuned in. Universe Exalts watched in their private palaces. King-level Undying, who lacked permission, still streamed into the Tongqian Bridge Plain's central square to follow the live broadcast. It was the first time a genius, one of the 3 prodigies who appear every million epochs, had attempted the Heavenly Bridge since the competition's start, and it drew an unprecedented crowd. Even Guardian Baffin noted how many King-level Undying had come. At the far end of the 9th level of the God Tree Tongqian Bridge, a meteor several kilometers across hovered, its surface singing, "Choose your opponent, martial artist, controller, or illusionist." "Martial artist," Li Qi answered. A slab of stone broke away from the meteor and reshaped into a blue-clothed man wearing a mask and blue claw-like weapons. "You've returned in less than 40 years, the figure rasped. "I hope you can beat me this time." Li Qi nodded once. The blue-clothed man laughed, and they leapt into action. Their movements were a blur, figures flickering, black and blue afterimages multiplying, claw shadows appearing and vanishing. Metal rang as claws met defenses. Li Qi then unleashed instant shadow illusion body, his form fractured into more than 10 phantoms. He struck with Annihilation 2, the Beast God Strike, a vast claw shadow that seemed to rend the dark between stars. The onlooking king-level Undying stiffened. Those who followed the Beast God path sensed in Li Qi's claw technique a familiar divine charm. It was unmistakably Beast God in origin. On the central square, shocked murmurs spread. Universe Exalts, watching from palaces, praised Li Qi's talent in the Beast God path. Many believed his future would rival KD's. Some even thought he might surpass him. Among the 3 rare geniuses who had emerged this era, Zhu Mengluo of the Great Axe battlefield, once expected to be the strongest, now showed the weakest promise, and his region's leaders felt uneasy. Back on the bridge, the blue-clothed guardian's face went pale. The huge beast god claw drove down like a looming predator. His body shattered and turned to stone, returning to the meteor. The meteor then dissolved, revealing the 10th level bridge surface beyond. Past the 9th level, Li Qi felt his chest surge. Passing put him 1 step closer to resurrecting his elder brother and completing his teacher Ice Peak Lord's trial. Manlei, standing among a cluster of undying spiritual gods, had been tentative before, but Li Qi's success stirred a boldness in him. He had once reached the 4th level, but failed because his secret technique was slightly inferior. After a period of intense cultivation, he believed he could clear the 5th level before the Secret Realm contest. He wanted badly to keep pace. He couldn't let them pull away. Li Qi didn't pause. "I'll challenge the 10th level," he said, and transformed into a streak of light toward the next span. Levels 7 through 9 lay in open space. Levels 10 through 12 ran through the interior of a planet, the bridge anchoring at the core and stretching outward through molten layers. When Li Qi entered the 10th level, the scenery changed instantly. He stood at a planetary core, yellow metal humming beneath the bridge. The core's voice intoned, Choose your opponent, martial artist, controller, or illusionist. Defeat him to pass the 10th level. Martial artist. The ground erupted with yellow lights that coalesced into a masked yellow-clothed man, claws gleaming. To reach the 10th level at universe rank, that's impressive, he said in a low voice. Li Qi nodded. Make your move. The yellow-clothed man moved like a streak of lightning, appearing behind Li Qi and slashing with a claw shadow that tore through space. Li Qi unleashed his annihilation too, but the yellow-clothed man's attack ripped him apart, his figure shattered under the overwhelming pressure. On the central square, conversation died down. The gap between the 9th and 10th levels is massive, people said. He's only been in the primitive mystical region for under 100 years, actual cultivation time, and he's already at the 9th level. What a prodigy. Discussions turned to the generation's surge of talent. 3 such prodigies had arisen in recent ages. Li Qi returned to the central square in a flash, and Man Li's voice called out. Li Qi, you were watching? Li Qi smiled. Man Li walked up, teasing and honest. You and KD, monsters. You make the rest of us feel small. The gap's growing. Li Qi grinned. If you don't cultivate harder, you might end up competing in the heaven and earth secret realm next time. You know how to rub it in. Man Li laughed and clapped Li Qi on the shoulder. This calls for 10 pots of good wine. I'll give you 10 jars instead, Li Qi said. 10 jars? Man Li's eyes lit up. They'd met publicly twice before and shared a little wine, never worth more than a few hunyuan units. But Li Qi now produced a story. I finished a cultivation mission and bought 30 jars of a delicious wine in the mission world. What's it called? What does it taste like? Man Li asked, eager. Cloud mist wine. Its texture is like smoke and vapor, very smooth, Li Qi said. The flavor's hard to describe. 30 jars, 10 for you, 10 for me, 10 for KD. Done, Man Li decided at once. I'll have someone send his share. You're amazing, Li Qi laughed. You know delivery will cost a few hunyuan units. If it's not good, you'll buy the next round, Man Li joked. Li Qi offered to pay shipping, then thought better of it. No need, Man Li said with a smile. If it's bad, you can treat next time. They laughed. I should get back to cultivation, Man Li said, releasing Li Qi. With friends like you two, I have to work twice as hard. He turned into white light and was gone. Li Qi watched him go, shook his head with a smile, and vanished as well. Months later, an F-class starship arrived in the Wu-Chen timespace of the primitive mystical region. After bidding farewell to Marquis Lixiao, Li Qi boarded and returned to his manor on Wu-Chen continent. Chapter 190, Rewards and Desperate Missions. Back at his manor bedroom in the primitive mystical region on Wu-Chen continent, Li Qi took the world ring from its place and focused his consciousness on it. Inside the ring, the Guyu ancient tree towered 10 kilometers tall over the continent, its massive canopy blotting out the sky. He whispered the innate secret technique, move branch. The giant tree shivered. A several-meter branch snapped from the canopy and fell. Before it hit the ground, it rooted itself and sprouted. Within moments, it grew to the branch tree limit of 100 meters. Strange, Li Qi thought. Nesting behavior shouldn't be allowed in the primordial universe, but this branch really looks like a clone of the main body. The newly formed branch tree tested itself, feeling for its soul. At first, my soul was a bit weaker when I separated, it thought, but now it's no different from the main tree. Seeing the second branch tree intact, with its soul present and still able to comprehend law, Li Qi relaxed. He withdrew his consciousness from the world ring and entered the virtual universe to apply for completion of his cultivation missions. At Yuxiang Mountain Primal Zone Manor number 115, Li Qi summoned the light screen in his study and opened the back-end management menu. In the cultivation interface, he submitted his application to confirm mission completion. A new screen popped up. A beautiful woman greeted him with a gentle voice. Hello, Your Highness Li Qi. Are you applying to confirm mission completion? Yes, Li Qi nodded. May I ask how many of the 2 cultivation missions in Blood Luo world you completed? She asked. Both, he replied. Please wait a moment, Your Highness Li Qi. A universe ship will be dispatched to your manor territory shortly for real-world verification. Once verified, you will receive the point rewards. Li Qi returned to reality and waited, watching the beast god statue in his yard while the virtual universe staff made their way to him. A few hours later, a gray, sword-shaped universe ship, only 100 meters long, landed on the open ground of the manor. Li Qi went out with Captain Miao Li and several guards to meet them. 4 people in black uniforms stepped out. Their bearing and manner showed they were world lords who handled affairs rather than combat. The leading woman bowed respectfully. "Please enter the ship, Your Highness. Your guards need not come in." Li Qi went aboard. Inside a small detection cabin, an electronic voice instructed him. "Li Qi, please place a Blood River crystal on the table." He did. First mission, obtain 1 Blood River crystal. Completed. Reward, 10,000 points. Li Qi, please prove you are a blood warrior by placing your Blood Luo badge on the table. Li Qi removed his 5th Order force armor. His chest was exposed. He activated the Blood Luo power and blood-red secret patterns flared across his skin. Though simple, the patterns pulsed as a single entity and carried mysterious force. The patterns had doubled his compatibility with the universe's various origins. He tossed his Blood Luo badge onto the alloy table. Blue scanning light swept him in the badge. Confirmed. Li Qi, congratulations on completing the 2nd mission. You have become a blood warrior and obtained the Blood Luo badge. Reward, 100,000 points. The voice chimed the total, 110,000 points in hand. Li Qi smiled. He was 1 step closer to obtaining the 4th volume of the God Tree True Understanding. A colder voice then spoke through the system. The information I will relay involves Virtual Universe Corporation secrets. Do not spread it. Li Qi had expected the warning and nodded inside. The woman continued. We routinely inquire about anyone who enters Blood Luo world. Since you became a blood warrior and surrendered a Blood River crystal, you should have extra ones on your person. Blood River crystals are only found in Blood Luo world. They are extremely mysterious and highly important. Among the human race, they are classified as forbidden items, absolutely prohibited from private sale. If anyone is found selling one, the Virtual Universe Corporation, the Great Axe Battleground, the Universe Mercenary Alliance, the Universe First Bank, and the Universe Galaxy Bank will confiscate it and impose severe penalties. Li Qi knew forbidden items included planet-destroying weapons and other priceless resources. Trading them required the 5 great giants' oversight. The woman reassured him, your acquisition of the Blood River crystal was legal and normal. We will not seize it. However, you may not sell it to others. You may only use it yourself. To gift it to someone else, you must submit an application to the Virtual Universe Corporation. Only after approval can you transfer it. If you insist on selling, our corporation will purchase it at 600 points per Blood River crystal. Li Qi inwardly shook his head. How precious is a Blood River crystal? Even champion-level undyings would compete for one. How could I sell it for 600 points? He planned to use his crystals to fusion and become stronger. Perhaps if he reached Overlord level, he could gift them to juniors, but even that would likely require the privileges of an extremely powerful practitioner. Are you willing to sell the Blood River crystal? The voice asked. No, Li Qi replied. I need them for fusion. I have none to spare. Conversation ends here. This is confidential. Understood, he replied. The electronic voice then announced, Li Qi, detection complete. You may leave. The hatch opened. Outside, Li Qi watched the sword-shaped ship lift off. The officials had inspected Manley's 10 jars of cloud mist wine and taken them away after the check. Back in his bedroom, Li Qi mulled over his points. I just passed the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge and gained 25,600 points, he reflected. But even so, I'm still tens of thousands short of the 300,000 points needed for the 4th volume of God Tree True Understanding. To gain more points, I'll have to take more cultivation missions. He opened the cultivation interface. The Virtual Universe Corporation limited mission acceptance. Universe-rank geniuses could accept a maximum of 10 cultivation missions every 100 years. To prevent abuse, there were caps on how many dangerous level missions a single person could take. Primitive mystical region members could accept up to 3 dangerous missions. Highest beginning mythical region members up to 2. Heaven and Earth Secret Realm and Doomsday Secret Realm members could accept only 1. The corporation also allocated a fixed number of dangerous missions to each region, primitive mystical region having the most slots, then highest beginning, and so on. Dangerous level missions paid the most. Rewards could start at 100,000 points and rise into the hundreds of thousands or even millions. Lower tiers paid far less. Difficult missions usually tens of thousands. Normal missions a few thousand. Easy under a few hundred. The point was obvious. If he wanted the book, he needed to take high-reward missions, and those were the most dangerous. Lychee scanned the dangerous mission list. Visca Star. Only one mission. Reward 20,000 points, he read. For a moment, he hesitated. Months later, he would return from Vistar Star with that 20,000-point reward. After that, he accepted 3 more dangerous-level missions and earned an additional 30,000 points, but he still hadn't uncovered those world's secrets, so aside from the points, he had no extra gains. He was still more than 10,000 points short of the 300,000 he needed. A video call interrupted his thoughts. Manley's face filled the screen. "Lychee, do you still have that cloud mist wine?" he asked immediately. "No," Lychee sighed. Manley froze, then said miserably, "That cloud mist wine tasted amazing. I planned to take some to my imperial father, but I drank it all." "It's gone," Lychee confirmed. "Only KD's 10 jars are left. I drank some myself and gave some away." Manley could not realistically take KD's jars, so he asked instead, "Where did you get it?" Lychee thought for a moment. The Virtual Universe Corp only forbade revealing the Blood River Crystal's secrets. They didn't forbid saying Blood Luo continent exists. Maybe, if you want it, try going to Blood Luo World on a dangerous level cultivation mission. Dangerous level. Blood Luo World. Manley repeated, considering it. KD even accepted a dangerous level mission. If he did it, I can too. "You said KD accepted a dangerous level mission?" Lychee asked, surprised. "Yeah," Manley nodded. "It was before you reached the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge." Lychee considered that. "I see. Lychee, are you going to accept a dangerous level mission too?" Manley's expression changed. "Not yet. I'm not as strong as KD," Lychee said with a smile. Manley relaxed. They chatted a little longer before ending the call. After hanging up, Lychee's eyes narrowed. KD dared to take dangerous missions even without clone ability. "I have clone, so I can accept one too." He didn't want to fall behind his rival. Besides, it had been a while since he'd faced a life-or-death test. Despite having completed several dangerous-level missions already, his cautiousness had kept him alive. He tapped the screen and selected the Dangerous Level Missions category. A warning flashed in red and an alarm sounded. "Lychee, this is a dangerous level mission. Many primitive mystical and highest beginning mythical region members have died taking these missions. We suggest you gain more experience first. To retreat, select Cancel. To accept, select Confirm. Once confirmed, there is no turning back. You must carry out the mission." Lychee confirmed. The mission page refreshed. At the top, a single line read, "Dangerous level mission. Death rate 90%. Surviving requires strength and luck. You may choose a maximum of 3 dangerous missions. Choose carefully." Below was the list of 18 dangerous level missions. 1. Purgatory Abyss, Virtual Universe Corporation Primitive Mystical Region. 2. Cloud Palace, Great Axe Battleground God Origin Secret Realm. 8. Demon Mountain, Virtual Universe Corporation Highest Beginning Mythical Region. 12. Death Star, Universe Mercenary Alliance Glory Secret Realm. 18. Blood Demon Continent, Universe First Bank Dripping Blood Secret Realm. 4 of the missions were in the Virtual Universe Corporation's own 4 great secret realms. The rest belonged to the other great giants. Just the names alone suggested extreme peril. Lychee scanned them methodically. Demon Mountain was out. Its legacy hall was guarded by undying-level beings, and he lacked the means to hide his aura or form, so entering would be impossible. He lingered over several options and finally tapped one. The interface responded with a single, succinct message: "You are selected." Lychee exhaled and steeled himself. Whatever lay ahead, he had chosen his path. Chapter 191, Purgatory Abyss and the Night King. Purgatory Abyss, a mysterious region deep within the primitive mystical region, warped by heat and chaos. Space here is unstable. Spatial cracks appear at times. In its earliest days, the Purgatory Abyss was a planet nearly 0.1 light-years in diameter. Then catastrophe struck. The planet tore apart, leaving a vast conical abyss. Countless planetary fragments spiraled within that chasm, forming drifting continents and islands. The native life here are rock-based creatures known as nightmare beasts. They feed on the abyss's flames and, over generations, have shifted toward energy-based existence. Nightmare beasts are born at the bottom of the abyss at astral rank. The newly born are sent to the outer rim to survive. Only the strongest can reach the inner regions, or the very bottom. Purgatory Abyss mission objectives. 1. Survive in the inner region for 3 months, 50,000 points. 2. Survive in the inner region for 3 years, 200,000 points. 3. Collect 1,000 tons of nightmare cores, 500,000 points. Tip: 99% of members who complete this cultivation mission finish the first 2 tasks. Note: a nightmare core is the life force of a nightmare beast. Only Territory Lord rank and above nightmare beasts produce nightmare cores. After collecting a core, you must go to the fortress that protects the Purgatory Abyss to exchange it for a voucher. A few days later, a ship arrived over the Wuchen continent and descended onto the lawn of a manor. Li Qi was fully armed, dark red battle armor over cloud-caressing vine-layered armor, and dark red devil shadow claws on his hands. The abyss is saturated with dark red light. Such armor helped him blend with the environment and lower the chance of being seen. At the hatch, 4 men and women in black bowed respectfully. "Your Highness Li Qi," they greeted. Li Qi stepped aboard. "Let's go." The manor guards saluted. "Farewell, Your Highness." Hours later, the ship entered the fortress that watched over the Purgatory Abyss. At the fortress gate, Li Qi glanced out and beheld the dark red maw of the abyss. Continents and islands suspended and drifting through the air. Even at a distance, the scorching, chaotic aura was palpable. Universe energy here was warped and difficult to absorb. "Your Highness Li Qi, this way, please," a world lord said, leading him inward. They reached the fortress's core hall, and Li Qi felt odd about the formality. "Nightlight King," the world lord announced, bowing. "His Highness Li Qi has been brought." Nightlight King. Li Qi's mind clicked. The name sounded familiar. He realized, with some surprise, that Nightlight King was his 7th senior brother's disciple. Why summon him? In the empty hall, a figure suddenly appeared, back turned at first. He was burly and over 4 meters tall, armored in dark gold that gave off an ancient, undying spiritual god pressure, an aura with a faint spatial flavor. Li Qi immediately felt spatial fluctuations, instantaneous movement. Nightlight King turned, a brilliant smile lighting his furry muzzle. "This is our first meeting, junior brother." A bear man from a certain branch of humanity, Nightlight King's body was covered in brown fur. Hearing "junior brother," Li Qi understood the misunderstanding. Nightlight King had assumed Li Qi was the disciple of the 7th senior brother, his junior brother. Li Qi's true status as a named disciple of Ice Peak Lord was a closely kept secret, and he didn't want it exposed. He bowed slightly and played along. "Greetings, senior brother." "You're a genius who appears once in millions of eras," Nightlight King said with admiration. "Junior brother, out of all the disciples Master accepted, your talent is the greatest." "You flatter me, senior brother." Li Qi kept his tone modest. Nightlight King shook his head. "You're too humble. In the history of our race, a genius of your caliber, if they don't fall, will at least reach king-level undying, and they become king title limit level, like me." Li Qi listened carefully, thinking, so Nightlight King was a king title limit, very close to Universe Exalt. Among undying spiritual gods, the champion ranks split into 5 stages: elementary, advanced, peak, limit, and undefeated. A king title limit who has cultivated long enough could push toward venerable and then exalt. A king undefeated, with profound law comprehension and potent treasures, approaches Universe Exalt. Some king undefeated, with exceptional life genes, can even suppress elementary Universe Exalts. "Our virtual universe corporation is split into 2 camps," Nightlight King continued. "Many believe Katie will become a Universe Exalt. But I, along with others, think you will be no less, perhaps surpass him." He smiled. "I've put a heavy wager on you. Don't disappoint me." Li Qi thanked him. "I will try to surpass KD." Nightlight King's expression turned serious. "I asked you here not only to meet you, but to warn you. Purgatory Abyss has world lords." "You mean there are world lords in the Abyss?" Li Qi frowned. "It's a desperate mission. Having undying or world lord level guards is expected, isn't it?" Nightlight King only repeated the warning briefly and then fell silent. Go complete your cultivation mission. After you finish the Purgatory Abyss mission, we will gather again. Li Qi nodded. Understood. Not long after, Li Qi left the fortress and took an E-class ship toward the Abyss. The ship landed on a continent in the outer region. He stowed the ship in his world ring and stepped out into heat that hit him like a wall. Temperatures here already ranged from 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. The bottom would be far hotter. There were no plants. Gravity felt dense. He glided low over the ground and surveyed the perimeter. The outer region was relatively safe. Aside from the rare spatial crack that erupted once in tens of millions of years, danger was low. He leaped from one drifting continent to another, hopping inward day after day until he reached the inner region. That's when his mission timer activated. Hidden, he scanned the area. In the distance, a dark red figure moved, a short-bodied, rock-carved lizard tens of meters tall, a native nightmare beast. Each step it took made the ground tremble. Bright red veins pulsed across its hide like flowing magma. Li Qi probed quietly. Territory Lord rank, 4th Order. You're lucky, or unlucky. The first beast I find is Territory Lord rank, he muttered. He kept himself concealed and watched for days to make sure there were no others around. 2 days later, he closed the distance until he could strike instantly. Kill, he burst out. Li Qi flashed forward. Annihilation 2, a huge dark red claw shadow slammed down, its power tearing at space itself. The claw struck the beast's back. Rock shards exploded, blood like magma sprayed, and searing heat burst outward. The magma sizzled on the ground, white steam rising as the surrounding stones scorched. The wounded nightmare beast roared and flipped into the air, then crashed down, trying to crush whatever clung to its back. Li Qi had already burrowed into the beast's body. Using his 5th Order mind energy weapon, the green vine pillar, he cleared a path and dug for the nightmare core hiding inside. Finally, he found a moving dark red life core that tried to crawl away too slowly. The endless vine extended from the green vine pillar, snaked around the core, and with a thought from Li Qi, it constricted. Crack! Crack! The nightmare beast howled as its tail thrashed, gouging a deep pit in the earth. Under the endless vine's pressure, the nightmare core split into 3 pieces, and the beast fell utterly still. Its magma blood cooled slowly and would soon solidify into obsidian. Li Qi wrapped the shattered core in the endless vine and burst free of the carcass, magma and fractured stones spraying behind him. He tucked the vine and the pieces into his world ring and vanished. Hours later, a much larger nightmare beast, truly mountain-sized, descended where the slain one had been. Hiding on another continent, Li Qi examined the core. This Territory Lord rank nightmare core is tough, he said to himself. It took 2 or 3 seconds of contraction to shatter. The core weighed over 2 tons. If he'd faced a 9th Order Territory Lord, the core might weigh 3 tons. At that rate, he'd need only 300 to 400 cores to reach 1,000 tons. Collecting the cores didn't seem impossible, and he likely wouldn't need 3 years to finish the mission. After 3 days of hiding, he found a second Territory Lord, this one 2nd Order. He observed a few days, and finding no others nearby, killed it in under a minute, took its core, and left. As before, hours later, a much larger nightmare beast arrived beside the corpse. A booming voice echoed, "The arrival of a foreign race." 5 days later, after searching across drifting continents, he finally located a Territory Lord rank 7th Order nightmare beast. He hid his presence and observed for days. As he prepared to strike, a sudden, chilling sense of danger rose in him. "Found you," a roar bellowed. "Damn foreign race." The sound came from beneath his feet. Only then did Li Qi realize the ground beneath him was not solid land. It was a nightmare beast. Boom! Invisible force pressed down, turning the surrounding space into a world of flames. World Lord. The moment Li Qi felt the world projection suppression, he instantly understood. He had run into a World Lord rank nightmare beast. I only killed 2 Territory Lord rank nightmare beasts, he thought. Now I've walked into an ambush by a World Lord. Nightlight King had warned him there were World Lords in the Purgatory Abyss. That warning suddenly made sense, but it was already too late. Even though he had been careful, scouting for days before every move, he had still triggered a World Lord ambush. Li Qi didn't hesitate. He took out his E9 level spaceship and the 2nd branch of the Guyu ancient tree from his world ring. The 100-meter branch trembled as an incomprehensible law power bloomed from its core, a pale green light spreading outward. Guyu Cage. The Guyu Cage shattered the world projection's restraint. Li Qi flashed into the E9 level spaceship. A rumble of disbelief echoed from the nightmare beast. My world projection suppression. How did you break free? Li Qi retracted the branch into his world ring. With the Guyu Cage gone, the flame world of the world projection slammed back down, but the ship's hatch hissed shut and the spaceship accelerated. It tore free from the flame world suppression and streaked away. The E9 level spaceship Li Qi rode was top tier among human vessels. Its instant acceleration vastly outstripped ordinary ships its level. Breaking free from a common World Lord's projection was no problem. As he fled, the World Lord-ranked Nightmare Beast finally reacted, bellowing, "Alien! Don't even think about escaping." Its four massive limbs pushed, the continent trembled under its force, rocks and dust cascading. In an instant, the 100-meter-tall beast condensed into a dark red streak, chasing the ship. But it was only a typical World Lord. Its comprehension of the laws was not as high as Li Qi's, and it had no hope of outrunning an E9-level ship that could accelerate to near light speed within seconds. After a short pursuit, it lost all trace of the vessel and roared in fury, "Alien! Damn alien!" Near the bottom of the Purgatory Abyss's inner region, on a floating, drifting continent, the ship streaked in and landed in a mountain valley. Li Qi slipped the E9-level spaceship into his world ring, then used his mind energy weapon to tunnel into a small hill and hide. Two dark red afterimages swept over the continent, continuing the chase in the ship's wake. Hunkered inside the hill, Li Qi stared at the chaotic sky and wondered, what exactly is happening in the Purgatory Abyss? How can there be so many World Lord-ranked nightmare beasts active? Since his ambush after hunting a couple of territory lords, the World Lords here had clearly become much more active. Patrols had increased, and often several World Lords gave chase at once. Luckily, his E9-level ship was fast enough to outrun them. I only killed 2 territory lord beasts, and already attracted World Lords, he thought. Hunting territory. Lord beasts for 1,000 tons of nightmare core might not be feasible, he sighed. I'll just honestly complete the survival mission. Surviving 3 years would net me 250,000 points, enough to exchange for the 4th volume of Godtree True Understanding. I'll cultivate in this dark cave for 3 years. Li Qi sat cross-legged, examining the hill. His expression shifted. This wasn't a natural cave. He rose, and to avoid revealing himself, didn't use a mind power scan. He observed with naked eyes. With his universe-rank vision, the darkness was like daylight. The cave complex was huge. He found several man-made passages, each a few meters high, leading off in different directions. Cultivation worlds always hid secrets. Finding them could greatly accelerate a cultivator's progress. The 5 great giants sent geniuses into cultivation worlds for training and even limited the number of mission applications for a reason. Maybe I'm lucky and have found a secret of the Purgatory Abyss. He began exploring. Following a passage, he found small caverns that looked like rooms, each with bed-like depressions and scattered stone fragments, rubble that looked different from the native rock. The native inhabitants of the Purgatory Abyss had been rock-type life forms, so these fragments might be their remains. The deeper he went, the more small rooms he found, and the more convinced he became. These were the remains of former native humanoid inhabitants. But something bothered him. The amount of rubble seemed too small, not like the kind of remains left by nightmare beasts. World Lord-ranked beasts stood hundreds of meters tall. Territory lords were tens of meters. Astral ranks were still several meters tall with long bodies. They would leave huge remains, not tiny stone fragments that fit into small caves. From the rooms he'd seen so far, the natives appeared humanoid. For some unknown reason, they had been exterminated. A day later, Li Qi had explored about 99% of the cave complex. Only the large central chamber remained. Despite combing almost every passage, he'd found little of value beyond a few abstract characters and murals. Now there was only this last cave. Maybe I'll find something useful here. He entered the largest chamber. Several passages opened into it. It was clearly the cave's center. Besides the scattered rubble, murals covered the walls. The murals depicted an object with countless red lines radiating from it, light or energy, it wasn't clear. One panel after another told a story, the native inhabitants' record of a great disaster. An object had fallen from the sky and been worshipped as sacred. Factional strife tore the people apart, and one losing faction destroyed the sacred object. The result was catastrophic. The planet was torn, its environment altered beyond recognition. The strong had died in battle or perished in the explosion caused by destroying the object. The changed environment favored creatures that adapted, nightmare beasts. Under the dual blows of the ruined environment and the rising nightmare beasts, the native humanoids were wiped out. Li Qi frowned. It was informative, but not especially valuable. Civilizations had risen and been annihilated since the primordial universe began. The extinction of a weak race was insignificant. He prepared to sit and cultivate for the 3-year mission when his gaze caught 4 murals on the ceiling. These 4 images were similar, countless small figures prostrating or kneeling around a central object. The central object, drawn flat, had 5 faces, 2 stylized to immediately identify, though it looked like a crystal. What made him freeze was a faint manifestation of space law essence woven into the depiction of the 5-faced object. Could it be the native people's sacred object? The essence of space law appeared here. Li Qi stared upward. If this mural truly contained a trace of space law, it might explain why the place had been sacred. It was a waste that such an object had been destroyed in an internecine war. He sat down and began to study the murals carefully. The first branch of the Guyu ancient tree had been planted in the primitive mystical region to constantly comprehend the space origin law, and under its influence, Li Qi already had some lingering questions about space law. As he concentrated on the murals, many of those confusions began to resolve. Coupled with the mural's faint space law residue and the guidance he'd received from his 7th senior brother, a space venerable, his understanding deepened. He split a wisp of consciousness into the virtual universe to cultivate secret techniques and practiced claw and movement methods repeatedly. Years blurred into decades. 50 years passed. Li Qi remained in the cave over 50 years. He never returned to the primitive mystical region after the obligatory 3-year survival mission. The mural's tiny traces of space law and regular counsel from his 7th senior brother had pushed his comprehension of the space origin law ahead dramatically. He was now confident he could pass the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge, but he planned to wait. The Virtual Universe Corporation's Universe Rank Core Members' Mystical Region competition occurred only once every 100 years, and for core members, each event mattered. Lose, and a region would be demoted. Resources and discounts on secret techniques and magic treasures would be reduced. Win, and one stayed in, or could even challenge entry into a higher-level mystical region to gain greater rewards. He would wait until after the upcoming competition. Elsewhere, in the virtual universe's Rain Phase Mountain original area, 3 elders from the primitive mystical region sat in a triangular formation. 3 cups of wine stood on the table between them. Wu Sheiwen, striking and dressed in white battle attire, with small dragon horns and pale scales on her face, asked in a low voice, "Have you decided?" Kriya, an ape-like man resembling a large gorilla, shook his head helplessly. "We have no choice." Earl, the 4-armed man beside them, said, "There are only 3 universe rank slots in the primitive mystical region. If we don't break through to Territory Lord rank, the 2 of us will be demoted to the highest beginning mythical region." Among the 5 current universe rank members in the primitive mystical region, KD was the strongest. He had already passed the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge in Primordial Chaos City and, though he hadn't tested the Heavenly Bridge for nearly a century, given his genius, further progress was likely. Following him were Li Qi and Wu Sheiwen, both of whom had passed the 9th level, and then the other 2, who had each only reached the 8th level. "Both you and Li Qi passed the 9th level decades ago," Kriya sighed. "We have no confidence in defeating you." "If we lack confidence," Ural continued, "we should break through to Territory Lord rank. Even if we get eliminated to the highest beginning mythical region in the next competition, we can still remain in the primitive mystical region for a few more centuries." Kriya added, "Once we become Territory Lords and are assigned, will serve as inspectors, high-ranking officials in high-grade universe countries. We'll also earn massive points by completing missions from the Virtual Universe Corporation. Ural nodded. With those points, we can exchange for superior secret techniques and improve our law comprehension faster. Wu Shewin understood their thinking. If they could secure a place in the best mystical region, why risk being demoted? Breaking through to Territory Lord and staying in the primitive mystical region was a sensible choice. The Territory Lord competition in a few centuries could be considered then. She lifted her cup. I wish you a smooth breakthrough and safe assignments as Territory Lords. Kriya and Ural raised their cups in return. And we wish you victory in the mystical region competition so you can remain in the primitive mystical region. They drank. After centuries of friendship, the three would soon part ways. Two would break through into Territory Lord rank, while one would stay in the primitive mystical region to contest the next mystical region competition. Chapter 193, The Battle for the Secret Realm. Katie loses. At the core layer of the Virtual Universe Corporation's universe rank, the Primal Zone ordinarily has 3 slots, while the highest beginning mythical region normally has 30. After Kriya and Ural broke through to Territory Lord rank, the Primal Zone currently had 3 members, and the highest beginning mythical region had 37, one of whom had died. According to the rules of the Secret Realm battle, after each contest, except for the Doomsday Secret Realm, the regions return to their regular quotas. If there are too many occupants, some are eliminated, and if too few, more are promoted. For the Primal Zone Universe Rank Battle, an internal round-robin is held among the Primal Zone members first. The top 2 retain their Primal Zone positions. The others must face the top 3 from the highest beginning mythical region in a round-robin to fight for the single remaining Primal Zone slot. The Secret Realm battle has begun. This time, I must break into the highest beginning mythical region. No matter what, I have to secure my place there. If I fall into the Heaven and Earth Secret Realm, my status and resources will be greatly reduced. This universe rank Secret Realm battle differed from previous ones. Many in the Primal Zone wanted to enter, but when they saw the law comprehension of the 3 Primal Zone members, even many veteran cultivators from the highest beginning mythical region felt uncertain. As a result, attention focused heavily on the highest beginning mythical region. This battle became the main event for the universe rank Secret Realm. There were exceptions. Core layer members at Territory Lord or World Lord rank still watched the Primal Zone trio closely, since those 3 would be their future opponents. Undying spiritual gods and high-ranking universe exalts also concentrated on the Primal Zone contest, but the duel everyone buzzed about most was the one between Li Qi and KD. Primal Zone, Purgatory Abyss. Li Qi had been sitting beneath the mural in the cave for over 50 years, staring up at it. Cultivation knows no time, he thought, stretching. I've been meditating on the mural in this Purgatory Abyss. If 7th Senior Brother hadn't checked in every 10 years, and if the Secret Realm alarm hadn't reminded me, I might have missed the battle while I was cultivating. I can't immerse my entire consciousness in the virtual universe. I need to keep a sliver in the real world to stay alert. Li Qi entered the virtual universe and adjusted to his body. I can use about 80% of my full immersion strength. I wonder if that will be enough to beat Wu Shewin. His plan was straightforward. Defeat Wu Shewin in the Primal Zone's internal round-robin and secure his Primal Zone spot. He had collected a great deal of intel on her. She was a Psyker Master who cultivated the Light Origin Law and the Time Origin Law, and she wielded a 5th-tier mind energy weapon called the Time Wheel. Li Qi, the first match of the Primal Zone internal round-robin has begun. Your opponent is Wu Shewin, the Virtual Universe System announced. In an instant, he was transported to the battle arena. Yushang Mountain, Primal Zone, Manor number 111. Wu Shewin sat on a sofa, watching Li Qi's profile on the light screen. Her objective in this Secret Realm battle was clear: defeat Li Qi, whose law comprehension was also at the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Wu Shewin, the first match of the Primal Zone internal round-robin has begun. Your opponent is Li Qi, the system's voice announced, making her eyes flash. My first match is already against my rival. How fitting. A white light flashed, and she too was sent to the battle space. Wind howled, and snow fell in a vast white landscape. Li Qi, in black battle armor, stood unmoved amid the storm, black gauntlets clasped behind his back. Snow melted within a few meters of him. Wu Shuiwen arrived at the same moment, pale and serene, a translucent light wheel slowly turning behind her. Clad in white, she seemed part of the snow itself. Li Qi, she said as she stepped onto a winged mind energy weapon, eyes fixed on her opponent. This is our first meeting, Li Qi replied evenly. It is, but I will win, Wu Shuiwen said coolly. Who wins will be decided by the battle, Li Qi answered. Fight! Li Qi flashed forward like a bolt of black lightning. Dozens of perfectly real copies of him surged at Wu Shuiwen from all directions. Wu Shuiwen countered. Her will moved and boundless light burst forth, forming a web of threads that covered the heavens and earth and pierced each of Li Qi's figures. Light scattering darkness, dissolving the phantom attackers. A roar, like a beast god, shook the air. A vast claw shadow descended, a terrifying law-imbued strike tearing through the threads of light and aiming for the luminous Wu Shuiwen. Annihilation, too! Beast god strike! Break! Wu Shuiwen shouted. The time law trembled and condensed into a giant golden sword of light that thrust at the claw with the momentum to split the heavens. A metallic clash rang out, shockwaves shattering snowflakes. Her golden sword shattered the claw shadow, but at that instant, Li Qi's figure appeared. Although repelled, he still used one hand to block the giant sword. Wu Shuiwen's face changed. Her finest move, forged from the last technique of the time wheel, should have annihilated him. Yet Li Qi had blocked it. Li Qi's other gauntlet struck the golden sword. A mournful cry echoed. The blade trembled, hairline cracks spidering across it. Condense! Wu Shuiwen cried, pouring mind power into the sword, forcing the collapsing blade to reforge itself. The sword flared and withdrew, then shot back like a golden beam. Li Qi didn't dodge. He brought his gauntleted hands together and clapped over the incoming sword. The timing was perfect. The sword cracked and dimmed under the pressure. Tiny fractures raced along its length until, with a snap, it shattered. Light dissipated. The fragments collapsed into components of mind energy weapons. A spray of blood flew. Li Qi had slammed the back of Wu Shuiwen's head. She staggered, stunned. The final move of the time wheel requires 10th level heavenly bridge comprehension to be executed perfectly, Li Qi muttered. You can perform it and its power approaches that level, but it's too rigid. He added, if you'd used the techniques from when you challenged the 9th level, I might have had more trouble, maybe even lost, but it wouldn't have been this easy. Among the core layer spectators watching Li Qi and Wu Shuiwen, many recognized the two and discussed excitedly. He won just like that? Li Qi won far too easily. Wu Shuiwen is strong. She can use the last move of the time wheel, but it's too stiff. It makes sense. Li Qi's comprehension has clearly advanced again. From what he showed, he might be able to reach the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge, or at least be very close. 10th level? How long has he been in the Primal Zone? Counting 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, it's only 200 years. That's an insane rate of improvement. Champion-level Undyings watching were stunned as well. To them, the speed of Li Qi's law comprehension was monstrous. The universe exalts observed more calmly. Most of them had once been prodigies too. Wu Shuiwen returned to her manor and sat frowning. She had expected to lose, but not so badly. The final move of the time wheel should be close to 10th level power. It shouldn't have been blocked so easily. Reviewing the battle, scenes replayed in her mind until she understood. It's the move itself. Executing it at my current comprehension is forced. Against someone of equal level, it's inferior to the techniques I used when I was challenging the 9th level. The Primal Zone round robin continued. The roster revealed the next match, KD versus Li Qi. KD and Li Qi are facing off so soon. I thought their duel would be the finale. I didn't expect it in the second match. Li Qi's comprehension took another step forward. Can he actually beat KD? When the match list went public, many champions and universe exalts tuned in to watch a contest between two geniuses who appear only once in ages. Yuxiang Mountain Primal Zone, Manor number 115. Li Qi read the roster and sighed. Facing KD in the second match, I thought I'd wait for the final. He shook his head. Beat KD? No chance. It wasn't false humility. KD's strength was formidable. He had reached the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge before leaving Primordial Chaos City, and it was the most difficult tier of the universe Heavenly Bridge to master. 100 years had passed since then. Even if his progress had slowed, he should still be a notch stronger than Li Qi. The Cosmic Chaos Tablet's difficulty and the Universe Heavenly Bridge's trials were no idle reputation. Primal Zone Internal Round Robin, your second match has begun. Your opponent is KD, the system announced. Li Qi was instantly transported to the arena. He found himself above a boundless forest. The air smelled moist and of decaying leaves. Li Qi, in black armor, hovered over the treetops facing KD, clad in blue and white. The two were friends who had shared drinks before, so despite the battle intent, the mood wasn't entirely tense. The last time we fought was in the Peak Genius battle. I lost badly then, Li Qi said. You might win this time, but it won't be by luck, he added, eyes hard with resolve. Fight, KD! KD raised his sword with a reluctant tone. The result might disappoint you. They moved like lightning. Dozens of figures manifested, over 100, yet KD's movement style had changed since the Peak Genius battle. Fewer flashy illusions, more brutally real clones. Li Qi's gauntlets pulsed with space law. Years of studying the beast god statue had given his attacks a unique divine thought. KD's longsword blended time and space law, each strike making the fabric of existence shiver. Clang! Metal met metal in rapid succession. Shockwaves tore through the forest. The ground was gouged and overturned. The more Li Qi fought, the more astonished he became, not because he was overwhelmed, but because KD was weaker than expected. Li Qi found himself gaining the upper hand, and decisively so, without even using his ultimate move, the 5-intent Extinction Claw. He unleashed a secret technique, Annihilation 2, Beast God Collision, and a black claw shadow pierced KD's defense, cleaving through his head. Why is this happening? Li Qi wondered as victory came. He wasn't elated, only deeply puzzled. Spectators were equally stunned, then even more bewildered when the next match concluded the same way. KD had lost again. Chapter 194, The Reason and the Secret of the Purgatory Abyss. Why did KD lose again? Losing to Li Qi made sense. Strategic retreat, an abandonment of the fight, but losing to Wu Shaiwen? That was impossible. Even if KD hadn't been at full strength, 50 or 60% of his power would have been enough to beat Wu Shaiwen. 2 consecutive defeats by a 10th-level Heavenly Bridge cultivator left countless high-level backers baffled. Everyone agreed on one thing. You had to stay alert in the Cultivation mission world. But that shouldn't prevent someone from using half their strength. Confusion and disbelief swirled among his supporters. Some speculated that KD had encountered danger inside a Cultivation mission world and couldn't focus in the reincarnation battle. Their worries centered on the upcoming Primitive Mystical Region qualification battle. If KD was distracted there and fell into the highest beginning mythical region, those who'd backed Li Qi would laugh them out of the arena. Why hadn't KD advanced in the qualification battle? Why had Wu Shaiwen moved forward instead? With KD present, all hope of entering the Primitive Mystical Region through the Secret Realm battle seemed gone. KD, who had passed the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge, was a nightmare to face. In Yushang Mountain's public area, inside a private room of a restaurant, the three of them drank together, KD, Li Qi, and Man Lei. Li Qi lifted his wineglass and asked bluntly, "Did something happen? Your performance in the qualification battle was terrible." KD drank and said, "I was in a critical period. Only 1/10 of my consciousness was in the virtual universe." 1/10? Li Qi's expression sharpened. So you were still inside some extreme-level mission. Man Li's face showed incredulity. "How could you lose to Li Qi?" he blurted, then caught himself. "I mean, lose to someone who's only at the 9th level when you've passed the 10th. It just feels off." KD corrected. "I didn't draw, I lost." Man Li shrugged. "There's hardly a difference." Li Qi peered at KD and asked quietly, "Did you discover something during the mission? Blood Luo World? The Purgatory Abyss?" KD nodded slightly. Li Qi thought back. Blood Luo World offered huge rewards. The Purgatory Abyss tended to yield smaller ones. It was likely that if KD had entered the Purgatory Abyss, he'd only reached its dangerous lower reaches and picked up a little opportunity. 1/10 of his consciousness. Man Li's eyes widened. With 1/10 of your consciousness, you only managed a draw with Wu Shaiwen? He said, incredulous. Katie sighed. I lost. Manla switched topics with a nervous chuckle. Can you stay in the highest beginning mythical region? Kidi shook his head. Not a chance. I checked the top 30 who will be in the highest beginning mythical region for the qualification battle. The weakest among them has law comprehension at the 5th level of the Heavenly Bridge. I can barely guarantee I'll keep the 5th, Manlay admitted. My strength's near the bottom of that group. There are 47 people competing for 10 spots. The odds aren't tiny, but the competition is fierce. He drained his cup. From our peak genius battle team, 8 of us are in the highest beginning mythical region. The strongest there is Faye, 5th level, but even Faye isn't confident. Lychee nodded. Faye had been hailed as the top illusionist among his generation, and once thought to be the second most talented in their peak genius battle. His law comprehension had indeed reached the 5th level. Manlay raised his glass to Lychee. If not for your help, I wouldn't be this far. Help me. Lychee looked surprised. Manlay smiled and tapped a finger to his temple. The blood Luo continent thing you gave me, its effect was obvious. Lychee followed. How many did you get? Manlay held up 2 fingers. Lychee nodded, then teased. Keep working. Katie listened and made a mental note of the term blood Luo continent. Lychee then turned to him. I saved 10 jars of cloud mist wine for you. When you return to the primitive mystical region, I'll have someone send them, or you can have someone come pick them up. Katie's condition had clearly improved. The critical period seemed to have passed. If 1/10 of his consciousness could still contest Wu Shuiwen, Lychee thought, Katie wouldn't likely fall into the highest beginning mythical region. Once I win the qualification battle, I'll have someone pick them up. Ki promised. They finished a pot of fine wine, 3.9 points worth, and parted. Man Li still had preparations to make for the qualification battle. Primitive mystical region, purgatory abyss, inside the mural cave. Lychee's consciousness withdrew from the virtual universe. He stood and stretched, loosening muscles that had been still for decades. It was time to leave. He glanced up at the mural one last time and shook his head. He had nearly exhausted the spatial law origin essence available there. Further comprehension wouldn't yield more benefit. The place should be left for those with opportunities to help the human race produce new geniuses. He walked out of the passage intending to retrieve his spaceship and return to the fortress that suppressed the purgatory abyss. At that moment, an E9 class spaceship streaked by at near light speed, pursued by several dark red streaks, each the aura of a World Lord rank. Nightmare beasts of World Lord rank roared and gave chase, but an E-class ship flying at such speed was beyond their reach. In the primordial universe, anything exceeding light speed entered the dark universe. Only there could one truly surpass light speed. Even a universe lord in the primordial universe couldn't catch up without other methods. The nightmare beasts could only watch the ship recede and vanish. Inside his ship's control room, Lychee sat in a chair with a glass of cloud mist wine, watching the pursuers fade. After some time, he piloted his ship out of the purgatory abyss and headed for the massive fortress that suppressed it. A universe-class spaceship emerged from the fortress to rendezvous and guide him. Please follow me, the pilot requested. Under escort, Lychee docked inside the fortress. At the docking bay, a World Lord waited. Your Highness Lychee, the World Lord said with a bow. Nightlight King wishes to see you. Nightlight King? Lychee frowned. I met him once when I first arrived. Why does he want to see me again? Led by the World Lord, Lychee entered the fortress's main hall. Nightlight King stood armored in dark gold battle plate. Despite the armor, his furry, bear-like face softened into a smile when he saw Lychee. Junior brother, he greeted after the escort left. You did well. Even if Katie's state was off, beating him once means you can beat him twice. Lychee understood. Nightlight King had sought him because Lychee had bested Katie in the primitive mystical region's internal reincarnation battle. Nightlight King continued, I wasn't prepared when you arrived before, but now I have 2 gifts for you. Gifts? Lychee inwardly sighed with a quiet amusement. Connections and talent opened doors. Nightlight King produced a world ring, tossed it to Lychee, and the ring appeared in Lychee's palm. They're inside the ring, Nightlight King said. After you've looked, I'll explain why I'm giving them to you. Li Qi imprinted the unowned ring with his mind power and scanned its contents. Inside were two separate caches of metal positioned at opposite ends of an artificial continent. One cache was small, only around a dozen tons. The other was far larger, hundreds or thousands of pieces ranging from a few kilograms to several tons. That smaller pile? Nightlight King said. That's F-grade metal. It'll let you make standard weapons now, but later you'll need to craft your own secret techniques and weapons. This metal is for that. Li Qi nodded. The 17-plus tons of F-grade metal would be enough to make 6th-tier weapons. Self-made weapons suit their makers best, he thought. Nightlight King gestured to the larger pile. Besides some F and E-grade bits, most of that is D and C-grade metal. Individually, they aren't remarkable, but combined, according to the formula, they form a top-tier F-grade alloy. The paper in there is the formula. Top-tier F-grade alloy? Li Qi searched and found a sheet covered in dense universal common script. Among the many races of the primordial universe, only the automaton race among the aliens has a G-grade alloy formula, Nightlight King explained. Our human race's top-tier F-grade alloy has properties not inferior to G-grade metal. Li Qi hesitated. Is it appropriate for you to give me such a formula? Nightlight King smiled. It's fine. Even if alien races got the formula I gave you, they wouldn't be able to produce the alloy. They're missing a crucial auxiliary material. What material? Li Qi asked. Nightlight King looked toward the Purgatory Abyss. The Nightmare Core. Li Qi was surprised. A Nightmare Core is a necessary auxiliary material for making top-tier F-grade alloy. Nightlight King nodded. Our top-tier F-grade alloy has been developed for countless years and is used in many human technologies. Alien races have obtained the formula, but they can't make the alloy because they don't have the Purgatory Abyss and its nightmare beasts. You hunted Territory Lord rank nightmare beasts in the Purgatory Abyss, yes? Nightlight King asked. I did, too, Li Qi answered. Nightlight King's eyebrows rose. I only prepared materials for one Territory Lord rank nightmare beast for you. The rest you'll have to acquire yourself. Also, the nightmare cores from Territory Lord rank beasts must be refined before use. The refining method is on the formula. He studied Li Qi for a moment. This requirement has been on that mission for a very long time. Besides, you wouldn't think the nightmare core comes only from nightmare beasts, would you? At that, Li Qi thought of the unvisited bottom of the Purgatory Abyss and understood. The mission prompt had said nightmare beasts of Territory Lord rank and above would produce nightmare core, not that only those beasts supplied it. Nightlight King's expression turned serious. Don't tell anyone about our conversation today, especially don't tell other core members about the Purgatory Abyss mission content. Li Qi nodded. The Virtual Universe Corporation forbade anyone who completed cultivation missions from disclosing mission content, particularly extreme-level missions. Each extreme-level mission held enormous opportunities and secrets. Leakage was strictly prohibited. The rule that once you confirmed entry, you couldn't withdraw made the restriction clear. I'll arrange to have you return to the primitive mystical region, Nightlight King said. The next time we meet, I hope you can defeat a fully capable KD. Prove us right. A world lord escorted Li Qi back. Within a few hours, he was returned to the primitive mystical region. After a short rest, he began preparing to challenge the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Chapter 195, Crossing the Tongqian Bridge and the Giant World Virtual Universe, Tongqian Bridge Plain. On the central square of the picturesque island, Guardian Boffin sat before a small light screen that was broadcasting a live feed of someone attempting the Heavenly Bridge. A white flash split the air, and Li Qi's figure materialized in the square. Ah, Li Qi. Guardian Boffin smiled with mild surprise. You've come to attempt the Heavenly Bridge? Yes, Guardian. Li Qi inclined his head. There's no one on the God Tree Tongqian Bridge right now. You can go straight in. Guardian Boffin smiled and sent a notice of Li Qi's attempt to other powerful figures and geniuses of his generation who were watching. Privately, he thought, it's been nearly 60 years since Li Qi last tried the Heavenly Bridge. I wonder if he can get past the 10th level this time. That level isn't easy. The Heavenly Bridge places thresholds at every 3 levels, but levels 10, 21, and 26 demand a far higher comprehension of the laws. For example, breaking from the 9th to the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge is enormous. The 9th level corresponds to the peak of World Lord rank law comprehension, while the 10th is comparable to an Undying's law comprehension. At the end of the 10th level, the yellow metal beneath the bridge trembled and a sonorous voice boomed. Choose your opponent, martial artist, controller, or illusionist. Defeat him to pass the 10th level. Martial artist, Li Qi said. The yellow metal vibrated, and countless earthy yellow motes rose from the ground and swirled together until they formed a yellow-clad man wearing clawed gauntlets, arm shields, and a mask. After more than 50 years, you return, the yellow-clad man said in a low voice. I suppose you made a major breakthrough in those years. Of course, Li Qi replied. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be here. Then show me your progress. The yellow-clad man's tone stayed low. As he spoke, he flickered, trailing realistic afterimages. Li Qi moved like a bolt of black lightning, leaving similar afterimages. Good footwork, the yellow-clad man murmured, but it's not enough. The yellow-clad man vanished and reappeared directly in front of Li Qi, launching a clawed strike. Two dark claw shadows sliced forward, each carrying space law power that imprisoned the space ahead. A slender yellow beam tore the air, spanning from the yellow-clad man's original position to his afterimage and striking toward Li Qi as if light itself pierced the night, dazzling and unstoppable. Not good, Li Qi reacted, crossing his arms just in time. The amplification runes on his arm's shields flared. The yellow beam was blunted as the yellow-clad man's gauntleted hand slammed into Li Qi's crossed shields, unleashing a torrent of law power. The impact sent Li Qi hurtling backward. The yellow-clad man's afterimage remained, while his true body flickered again into Li Qi's face, claws shredding the air. Li Qi countered with his attack kata, Destroy 2, but could only use it defensively against the opponent's relentless barrage. The law power in the yellow-clad man's strikes was overwhelming. Li Qi was gradually forced into a disadvantage. Metallic clashes rang out, clang after clang, each collision sending invisible shockwaves outward like ripples across a lake. After trading more than 10 exchanges, Li Qi's defense finally broke. A claw, surging with law power, tore into his chest. He was driven back. The trial declared him defeated. He lost. Given Li Qi's prior attempts, I thought he had a shot this time, a watching Undying said from beneath the island's light screen. But the fact he held on so long shows his law comprehension is close to the 10th level, another commented. It's unsurprising he failed. The 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge is on par with an ordinary Undying, hardly easy. Having failed the 10th level, Li Qi didn't linger in the square. He returned directly to his manor in the Rain Phase Mountain original zone. He stared at the light screen in his study and reflected. The 10th level really is comparable to an Undying's comprehension. It's a tough cutoff. After completing the Purgatory Abyss Cultivation mission, he'd gained 250,000 points, enough to redeem the first 4 volumes of God Tree True Understanding if he had a bit more. He switched the Cultivation interface to the Treasure Exchange screen. The first 4 volumes cost 300,000 points and could not be discounted. Li Qi hesitated only a moment before choosing to purchase. The 4th volume of God Tree True Understanding corresponded to the 5th image of the God Tree Chaos Tablet and explained all the essences of space origin law. Fully comprehending all 108 essences of space origin law would push his law comprehension to the 12th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Passing the 12th level is the basic requirement for attempting Universe Rank Original Tongqian Mountain. Original Tongqian Mountain is tiered. Universe Rank, Territory Lord Rank, and World Lord Rank correspond to Heavenly Bridge levels 12, 16, and 20 respectively. But passing the matching Heavenly Bridge level does not guarantee success on the mountain. There aren't just 1 but 3 guardians protecting different parts of the mountain: the Tauren, the Ape Man, and the Snake Men, who represent the martial artist, controller, and illusionist factions. Challengers must face the combined assaults of all 3 factions simultaneously, so they need exceptional offense, defense, amplification, mobility, and soul arts. Only then can they hope to pass. Attempting Original Tongqian Mountain was a long-term goal. For now, Li Qi's immediate task was clear: pass the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge within 500 years, the test his master had set. Only 200 years had passed, 300 remained. That eased his urgency considerably. He cycled through mission options on the screen. Taz World, he muttered, opening the dangerous level missions. Seventh senior brother said that world would help a lot. Then he tapped another mission. First, the Giant God World. It pays well, and the Giant God Power Fruits effect is comparable to a Blood Warrior's strength. The Giant God World offered 3 missions worth 1,000, 10,000, and 100,000 points respectively. Oddly, despite being a world friendly to the human race, the Giant God World was classified dangerous with a high reported mortality rate. Strange, but intriguing. Li Qi considered briefly whether to study the God Tree Chaos tablet again first. With 7th senior brother, a venerable who had comprehended space origin law, guiding him, his confusions were few and many had already been clarified during his time in Purgatory Abyss. He'd only studied the Chaos tablet 3 times back in Primordial Chaos City, yet his law comprehension had advanced quickly, close to the 10th level in a century. With few lingering doubts, he accepted the Giant God World mission. The mission would begin in 1 day. He didn't need much preparation. 1 day later, a starship landed above his manor lawn. After a day with his family in the virtual universe, Li Qi boarded the ship amid respectful farewells from his guards. The Giant God World lay within the primitive mystical region. Several hours later, the Virtual Universe Corporation's arranged vessel deposited him at a palace outside the Giant God Star. Your Highness Li Qi. A waiting world lord bowed respectfully. A ship is ready to take your highness to Giant God Star. Please follow me. Giant God Star isn't far. Can't I just fly down in my own ship? Li Qi asked. Why must you arrange a ship? The world lord led the way and explained, the planet has a defense system. Unapproved ships are warned away, and if they approach too close, they're destroyed. Li Qi frowned. Aren't the people of Giant God Star friendly to our race? Why seal their planet like that? This system isn't just to defend against outsiders, the world lord replied. It's also to prevent the Giant God race from leaving the planet without authorization. Was this system set up by the Virtual Universe Corporation? Li Qi asked. No, the world lord said with a peculiar look. A champion undying born on their Giant God Star put it in place. The Giant God race are rather lively by nature, and that champion undying believed they needed restrictions. Lively nature? Li Qi repeated inwardly, feeling uneasy. If they'd sealed their own world, they must truly be unruly. Your Highness will understand more after living on Giant God Star for a time, the world lord added, leading him to a boarding craft. The attendants inside offered drinks, fruits, and snacks with proper ceremony. Giant God Star's diameter was about 360 million kilometers, a super-large celestial body. 20 minutes later, Li Qi's shuttle docked in a vast plaza. When he disembarked, everything struck him as enormous. Objects were at least 100 times the size he was used to. The shuttle's airlock door was comparable to the small vessel he'd arrived in. A streak of light cut across the plane and came to a halt several kilometers from the craft, apparently to avoid startling the ship. A giant stood there, 50 to 60 meters tall. From his aura, Li Qi judged him a world lord. He wore gray-white battle armor and, apart from his scale, looked much like a human race member. The giant detected Li Qi's universe rank and became more deferential. Via telepathic projection, he asked, Your Highness, which of the 5 great giants do you come from? 5 great giants? Li Qi thought. Giant God Star truly lived up to its reputation for being familiar with major human race powers. They even used informal names like the Virtual Universe Corporation. I'm from the Virtual Universe Corporation, he replied. Oh, so Your Highness from the Virtual Universe. The giant's respect deepened. You've come to take part in the Brave Trial, correct? Yes. Do you know the process of the Brave Trial? The world lord asked. Seeing Li Qi's slight nod, he continued, the Brave Trial has 2 stages, selection and the main competition. In the selection stage, participants must obtain 6 medals from dozens of dojos across Giant God Star. The first medal is easy, but each subsequent medal is far more difficult. The 6th is determined by a world lord to ensure anyone who gets all 6 is truly formidable and won't tarnish the reputation of the trial. The main competition is held every 100 years. Braves who collect all 6 medals in a century gather to vie for the title of Champion Brave and our planet's supreme treasure, the giant god power fruit. There are 16 years before the next main competition, so you have 16 years to obtain the 6 medals. The World Lord projected a light screen map of giant god star, dozens of dojo locations and major city coordinates marked. He gestured, and the same map appeared in front of Li Qi. "Thank you," Li Qi said after a quick look. The World Lord hesitated for a moment, then added respectfully, "Our giant god race are rather lively by temperament. They may offend your highness from time to time. If they aren't excessive, I hope your highness will be lenient." Li Qi recalled the palace World Lord's earlier words about the giant god race's nature. If they'd taken the trouble to seal their planet and restrict their people, then the giant god race must truly be spirited. He was curious to see exactly how lively they could be. Chapter 196, 6 medals giant god star, peak of high mountain city, several thousand kilometers away. On a small hill over 200 meters tall, a group of giant god star children scrambled up a near vertical rock face, pushing and jostling each other as they climbed. Now and then someone resorted to underhanded tricks to slow a rival. Thump! One child was kicked in the head by someone above him and tumbled over 100 meters, landing hard in the mud. Li Qi, passing through the air, felt the child's aura dim slightly. Outwardly, the boy looked unharmed, but internally his organs had been damaged. Li Qi ignored it. He had not been on Giant God Star long, but he had already seen enough to understand how lively its people were. That liveliness was really a love of courting death. They flirted with peril constantly, so long as they didn't actually die. Flying here, he had seen many such close calls, and even one outright fatality. No wonder the champion-level powerhouses born on Giant Godstar sealed the world off. If Giant Godstar residents could come and go freely with that reckless streak, who knew how many would die outside, especially in a place like the primitive mystical region with its many dangers. Peak of High Mountain City was built around a cluster of high peaks, an environment that suited Giant Godstar folks' reckless tendencies. Many parts of the city were open, with the clouds and mountains visible below and precipitous drops at the edges. Fortunately, the planet's gravity was far stronger than on Blood Luo continent. Only astral rank force fields and above could fly, which sharply limited how many planetary level and lower Giant Godstar people could actually fling themselves to death. Whoosh! Li Qi descended into the city. There's a Taoist temple here. The first medal starts from here, he thought. He landed at the peak of High Mountain Taoist Temple. A territory lord rank Giant Godstar resident, seeing Li Qi, barely over 2 meters tall by Giant God standards, blinked, then hurried forward. Your Highness from the 5 Great Giants. A world lord rushed up to greet him. Welcome, Your Highness, to peak of High Mountain Taoist Temple. Li Qi nodded. I want to take the Brave Trial assessment. Which medal would Your Highness like to be assessed for? The world lord asked. The first. It's already arranged, Your Highness. Please follow me. Li Qi's arrival caused a stir. It was rare for ordinary Giant Godstar residents to see a Your Highness from the 5 Great Giants in person, and word spread quickly. On the temple's open, spacious martial arena, Li Qi hovered in the air opposite a Giant Godstar opponent over 20 meters tall, a very ordinary universe-level 9th Order fighter, neither law nor domain comprehended. Match start, the World Lord referee announced. In an instant, Li Qi flashed forward with blinding speed. The opponent collapsed, falling into a coma. The crowd was stunned. What happened? How did Peihalu just fall? Murmurs spread. The referee had seen it clearly. Li Qi had struck with extraordinary speed and then returned to his original position, creating the impression he'd never moved. Your Highness Li Qi wins, the World Lord declared. He used mind power to send a half-meter medal to Li Qi, its back engraved with the universe common character for 1. Thank you. Li Qi accepted it and slipped it into his world ring. A flicker of movement and he was gone, leaving a realistic afterimage. Over the next 10 hours, he visited another city's Taoist temple and took the 2nd medal. That match was against a universe-level 9th Order who had just begun to comprehend domain. Li Qi won with another single, decisive strike and received the medal amidst the crowd's surprised applause. In the following days, he collected the third, fourth, and fifth medals in quick succession. His opponents were, respectively, a Territory Lord rank First Order, a Territory Lord with 7 or 8 layers of domain, and a Territory Lord who had only just begun to comprehend law. The fourth and fifth assessments required only endurance for a period of time rather than outright defeat, but Li Qi defeated every opponent quickly. With 5 medals in hand, Li Qi arrived in Lichuan City, the host of this year's Brave Trial main event, to take the 6th medal. At the Taoist Temple, a World Lord greeted him. "Respected Your Highness, welcome to Lichuan City Taoist Temple." "I'm here for the 6th medal assessment," Li Qi said. "Very well." The World Lord smiled. "Your Highness likely knows the 6th medal's assessment is conducted by a World Lord. I am Shi Gang, curator of Lichuan City Taoist Temple, and I will be your examiner. Please follow me." They reached the edge of the martial arena just as 2 giant Godstar fighters were locked in fierce combat, a Territory Lord rank 6th Order and a Universe level 9th Order, clearly in the middle of a medal test. Shi Gang explained, "The Brave Trial is our race's greatest event. Becoming a Brave and qualifying for the main event is a glory we revere. The medal assessments are sacred. We cannot interrupt them. Please wait." Less than a minute later, the Territory Lord disengaged and flashed away. "Congratulations, you," the Territory Lord said to the battered Universe rank on the arena. "You have passed the assessment for the 4th medal." Yu, scarred and panting, took the 4th medal with elation. Shi Gang then stepped onto the arena. "Next is the assessment for the 6th medal." Yu left in astonishment. The 4th medal had exhausted him. A World Lord-run 6th assessment sounded terrifying. Shi Gang turned to Li Qi. "Your Highness, please come onto the arena." Li Qi flickered like a black phantom and appeared above the arena. Gasps rolled through the crowd. "It's Your Highness from the 5 Great Giants. To actually see him in the 6th medal assessment." "Your Highness Li Qi," Shi Gang said. "The assessment has 2 phases. First, a full power test, then formal combat. We'll begin with the full power test. You may use your full strength to attack me directly." Li Qi nodded. In a flash, he was before Shi Gang's massive hand. A ferocious black gauntlet erupted from him, a dark claw that roared like a beast and smashed forward with the force of a monster's horn. The shadow seemed to tear space, leaving spatial ripples in its wake. The law power in the strike was formidable. Shi Gang, relaxed a moment earlier, stiffened and applied a defensive secret technique to his hand. The black claw struck with a thunderous impact. Law energy burst out, and an invisible shockwave swept the arena. Shi Gang staggered back 2 steps to dissipate the blow. He looked down in horror. His rank 5 force armor on that hand had been pierced, a hole nearly 20 centimeters across, leaking fresh blood. He's only Universe rank peak. How could he hit with such power? Shi Gang thought, clenching his injured hand and using genetic primal energy to accelerate healing. World Lord's vitality and recovery were terrifying. With genetic primal energy, the granulation tissue slowly knit together. To watching giant Godstar residents, the sight was unbelievable. A Universe rank had just inflicted a visible injury on a World Lord. Lord Shi Gang is wounded? Impossible. Even a Your Highness from the 5 Great Giants shouldn't be able to injure a World Lord. Shi Gang reassessed quickly. "Enough. With your strength, there's no need for the 2nd phase. You qualify for the 6th medal." He extracted a medal from his inner world and sent it to Li Qi with world power. A half-meter disc bearing Lichuan City Taoist Temple's unique pattern and the Universe common character for 6 on its back. Li Qi slipped it into his ring. "The main event will be held in Lichuan City. You may reside here and wait for the main event in 16 years, Shi Gang said. "If you don't mind, you are welcome to stay at Lichuan City Taoist Temple." Li Qi considered it. Lichuan City and its temple would be crowded with Brave Trial assessments for years, and that bustle would not be ideal for cultivation. He declined courteously. "I'll stay at an inn in the city." "Please forgive my presumption," Shi Gang said, a little disappointed. After parting with Shi Gang, Li Qi took a room at the best inn in Lichuan City. Ordinary giant Godstar folk, even wealthy ones, would struggle to book the best rooms when the Brave Trial drew powerful patrons from across the star. Li Qi's status as a Your Highness from the 5 Great Giants, however, earned him the innkeeper's full hospitality. The innkeeper waived his fees and provided the finest food. When news spread a few days later that Li Qi, in his universe-level Ninth Order body, had actually injured a world lord, the inn's pride swelled even more. A living signboard to draw customers. Li Qi paid little heed to the outside chatter. 16 years remained before the main event, and he intended to use the time to study the 4th volume of the newly purchased God Tree True Understanding. He'd only been comprehending for a little over half a year, however, when a cautious attendant came to interrupt him. A distinguished guest whom the inn could not offend had arrived, and that guest wanted to see Li Qi. Chapter 197, Katie who obtained the inheritance, Lichuan City. In a secluded courtyard of the finest inn stood a pavilion more than 50 meters tall. Inside, a stone table over 10 meters high filled most of the space. Li Qi was seated at a carefully arranged table set with chairs and wine glasses he had prepared himself, holding a goblet. The inn attendant, nearly 10 meters tall, squatted nearby, watching him warily. "Your Highness, you must have misunderstood." The attendant hurriedly protested when Li Qi's look made him pause. "We didn't mean." Li Qi downed a sip and asked, "Then what did you mean?" "Your Highness may not know." The attendant's voice dropped. "The person who requested an audience with you is the champion of the previous brave trial. If you become the champion of this brave trial, you will inevitably have to deal with him." "Oh," Li Qi's half-smile stayed in place as he raised the cup. "Is that so?" "Yes." The attendant nodded. He went on to explain, "The brave trial is revered by our giant god people for more than just glory. The champion receives our supreme treasure, the giant god power fruit." "The giant god power fruit is our race's greatest treasure," the attendant said, eyes bright. "A clansman who consumes it may receive the elder god's blessing. If the elder god favors them, they gain tremendous power, but if they are rejected, some perish in endless agony after consuming it." Li Qi listened, nodded slightly, and changed the subject. "Does this have anything to do with the champion who wants to see me?" "Of course. The previous champion is expected to hand the sacred fruit to the new champion. The current champion may refuse to accept it, which is treated as a challenge to the previous champion." "A challenge?" Li Qi toyed with the goblet. "There must be a reward for that." "There is." The attendant leaned forward. "If the current champion challenges and defeats the previous champion, they not only get the sacred fruit, they may also enter the giant god pool to cultivate for a year. But if they lose, the sacred fruit will not be given to them." "The giant god pool?" Li Qi's interest sharpened. "Now that's worth seeing." The attendant's eyes widened in alarm. "Your Highness, you don't mean to challenge the previous champion, do you?" "I have the thought," Li Qi said, "but not right now. At least not until I become the champion of this brave trial." The attendant hesitated and then bowed. "Pardon my bluntness, Your Highness, but you should know, the person who won the last brave trial defeated more than one Your Highness in the main competition. He's a rare prodigy of our giant god race. He's now a territory lord rank powerhouse. His strength is far beyond what it was then. If Your Highness challenges him now, you're more likely to come out worse than better." Li Qi's interest grew at that. The human race's 5 great giants cultivated geniuses often called Your Highnesses in the outside world. Those who reached universe rank among the 5 great giants were exceptional even among many astral or universe rank individuals. The giant god world is a dangerous level mission with a high mortality rate. Geniuses who dare take it must possess at least a high comprehension of law. To have beaten multiple Your Highnesses in the brave trial, the previous champion's law comprehension a century ago must have been astonishing, perhaps the equivalent of a much higher heavenly bridge level. Li Qi's smile deepened as he listened. The more the attendant warned, the more intrigued he became. "Do you still want me to see this champion?" the attendant asked quietly. "A meeting is fine." Li Qi nodded. "Invite him in." Relief flooded the attendant's face. He hurried to the gate and a moment later returned, escorting a territory lord rank 5th Order man. He stood 30 meters tall and wore a gray-white battlesuit. Li Qi studied him, the previous champion, surely, and thought, he rose to 5th Order territory lord in less than 100 years. He must have had vast cultivation resources. The new arrival studied Li Qi in return. He thought, that your highness from the 5 great giants is far smaller than me, like the others, but his law comprehension may already be beyond mine of decades past. Just the fact he managed to injure a world lord rank powerhouse is something I couldn't have accomplished back then. The champion gave his name first, bowing slightly. Shike, greetings, your highness. Li Qi inclined his head. Shike, as the previous brave trial champion, what do you want with me? I heard that your highness injured World Lord Shigang during the 6th medal assessment, Shike said. I'm curious. I came to pay my respects and to invite you to spar with me. Not now, Li Qi said gently. Maybe in the future. Shike's face dropped at once. He had expected a refusal, but then his expression hardened. In the future, there will be a chance to spar. He bowed stiffly, understanding the implication, and left the courtyard with a dark face. The attendant watched Shike go and could not hide his dismay. Your Highness, you can't just tell someone you'll challenge him at the champion ceremony. You may leave. Li Qi dismissed him with a wave. He had no desire to be disturbed by challengers, especially giant god star folk looking for glory by provoking him. After the attendant left, Li Qi finished the pot of wine in the pavilion, returned to his room, and entered the virtual universe to cultivate. A few days later, in the virtual universe's rain phase mountain sector, Li Qi's manor had been renumbered to 111 after his consecutive victories in the Secret Realm Scramble and the Primitive Mystical Region's Internal Reincarnation Battle, a mark of universe rank first place in the region. The 10-year guidance period had arrived, and Lingtu Venerable, smooth-skinned and bald, arrived at the manor for a half-hour session. Junior brother, you did well defeating Kedi in the Secret Realm Scramble, Lingtu Venerable said, with a smile. Li Qi shook his head. 7th senior brother, Kedi didn't use his full strength in that scramble. That kind of win doesn't mean much. It's good that you recognize that, Lingtu Venerable approved. Kedi's restraint wasn't because he feared you. He had a special opportunity. A king-level undying from the Great Axe battleground has already brought his case to our executives. A king-level undying from the Great Axe battleground filed a complaint? Li Qi only nodded. Lingtu Venerable didn't explain further. There were secrets involved. I watched the footage of your previous attempt to cross the Heavenly Bridge 10th layer, Lingtu Venerable continued. Your law comprehension still comes up short of the 10th layer. Consolidate for a while and cultivate more of the God Tree True Understanding. With your speed, after the next guidance and consolidation, you will most likely be able to cross the 10th layer. When you cross it, you will become the teacher's personal disciple, Lingtu Venerable added with a smile. I look forward to that day. I won't disappoint you, Li Qi said firmly. Lingtu Venerable smiled and nodded. I'll return in 10 years. He turned into white light and vanished from the enclosed training ground. 10 years passed. Li Qi spent most of his time cultivating in the virtual universe, occasionally relaxing with a cup of the fiery giant God Star wine. He focused on the God Tree True Understanding, a top-tier technique that analyzes the essence of space law. He dabbled in all 108 essences of space law, though he truly comprehended only a minority. True to his word, Lingtu Venerable came on schedule every decade for half-hour guidance, after which Li Qi would spend long stretches consolidating and absorbing newly resolved doubts. Then, one day in the enclosed training ground, dark claw-shaped shadows filled the space, suffused with space origin law and sealing the area. A more powerful shadow claw tore through the weaker ones, as if to rend the fabric of space itself. 5 Intent Extinction Claw, 3rd form, Extinction 3 achieved, Li Qi murmured, gripping the ground in a half-crouch, his eyes alight with excitement. Now it's time to cross the Heavenly Bridge. He transformed into white light and vanished. On the Tongtian Bridge plain, in the center of a beautiful island plaza, Guardian Bafen in white robes stood watch over the God Tree Tongtian Bridge, glancing at the Heavenly Bridge crossing footage on a nearby screen. A flash of white revealed Li Qi appearing in the square. Guardian Bafen has even changed his clothes, Li Qi observed. It's good to change sometimes, Guardian Bafen replied with a smile, closing the screen. Li Qi, you should be confident about crossing the Heavenly Bridge 10th layer. I've cultivated in seclusion for over 10 years, Li Qi said. I finally have the confidence to cross it. In that case, Congratulations in advance. Guardian Boffin gestured toward the bridge. There's no one on the God Tree Tongtian Bridge now. You may go straight in. Li Qi nodded and became a streak of light, launching toward the bridge. As he left, Guardian Boffin muttered under his breath that Li Qi had been a little short the last time. This attempt looked more promising. He sent word of Li Qi's attempt to concerned powers and geniuses throughout the 4 secret realms, including World Lord rank geniuses in the primitive mystical region. A talent like Li Qi, who appears only once every million eras, naturally attracted intense scrutiny from competitors and potential rivals alike. Meanwhile, at Yushang Mountains Manor 113, Katie trained alone in a vast enclosed ground. He paused, summoned a screen, and opened an important message. Li Qi was attempting the Heavenly Bridge 10th layer again. He failed last time, Katie murmured, and now he tries again after more than 10 years. He must be confident he can pass. Katie glanced down at the sword in his hand and thought of the ice-cold god general legacy he had inherited from the Elder God cult. This legacy is mysterious and powerful, he said to himself. It took me decades to complete its first stage. Starting the second stage now will take at least several hundred years, unless my consciousness can't sustain it. He shook his head. That means I'll find it hard to focus on comprehending laws for the next few hundred years. With Li Qi's rate of advancement, he could surpass my law comprehension in a few centuries. Katie's gaze sharpened, though. It doesn't matter. The ice-cold god general legacy is incredibly strong. Having accepted it gives me more qualification to cross the original Tongtian Mountain. A temporary lead is nothing. My goal is to continuously cross 3 Mount Tongtian. He tightened his grip on the sword and resumed his practice. Resolute. Chapter 198. The 10th floor of the Tongtian Bridge and the resurrected Li Qi returned to challenge the Heavenly Bridge. His law comprehension had been lacking the last time. Now, after only 10 years, he dared to try again. Could he pass? Hard to say. He hadn't passed before. There was no reason to assume this attempt would be easy. The 10th floor represented a level of law comprehension comparable to an ordinary undying. It was not something to be taken lightly. One by one, the undying spiritual gods who had received the notice looked up at the light screen hovering over the plaza and discussed it in low voices. God Tree Tongchun Bridge, 10th level. Li Qi, now a streak of light, spoke aloud as he flew. I failed the 10th level the last 2 times. After 10 years of secluded cultivation and exchanging for the 4th volume of God Tree True Understanding, I will pass this time. He arrived at the end of the bridge's 10th floor. The yellow metal beneath the bridge trembled, and a deep voice rolled out. Choose your opponent. Martial artist, controller, or illusionist. Defeat him to pass the 10th level. Martial artist, Li Qi said. Rumble. The golden yellow metal vibrated, and countless earth-toned lights lifted from the ground and swirled together. In an instant, they formed a yellow-clad figure with claw-like weapons and arm shields, his face hidden behind a mask. The man's voice was low when he spoke. You're back. It's only been 10 years since you last challenged the bridge. Stop talking, Li Qi snapped. His eyes were hard with battle intent. Let's fight. The yellow-clad man inclined his head, then both of them moved as quick as lightning. Real forms flickered into being and vanished like soap bubbles as they exchanged blows. Clang, clang, metallic collisions rang out, while shadows of black and golden claws sliced through the air, carrying significant space law force as if trying to tear the surrounding space apart. Invisible ripples of space law shimmered outward, destroying any illusion of solidity. Their strengths were nearly equal, and after more than 10 exchanges, neither had gained a decisive advantage. Your progress is impressive, but this level isn't enough to beat me, the yellow-clad man declared. Li Qi's voice was frenzied. Other secret techniques might fail, but not this one. Calling on his space origin law comprehension from the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge, Li Qi unleashed the 3rd form of the 5 intent extinction claw. Violent law fluctuations coated his ferocious gauntlet. Extinction 3. A claw shadow, only slightly larger than the gauntlet, coalesced, black as a moonless night, swallowing everything around it. Destruction of the earth. A trace of madness flashed in Li Qi's eyes. He swung down with the ferocity of a beast that adored slaughter, thirsting for blood. Not good, the yellow-clad man cried, shocked. Li Qi's form had changed in his perception. The black claw shadow enveloped him tightly. He could not break free. A shrill, high cry sliced the air as Li Qi unleashed that unparalleled savage strike. "Block it for me," the yellow-clad man barked. The gatekeeper raised his arms and activated the runes on his arm shields, attempting to forcibly stop the blow. Boom! Space origin law trembled through the strike, threaded with a killing concept and an undercurrent of beast god concept. The blow slammed into the gatekeeper's arms. Rip! The impact, filled with space origin power and a trace of beast god concept, shredded his arms from his body. How? His voice died on his lips. Without arms, he could no longer resist. The next moment, his head was crushed by the claw. The defeated yellow-clad man broke apart into countless earth-yellow motes of light that quickly fell back and merged into the yellow metal beneath the heavenly bridge. The end of the 10th floor shuddered. The environment shifted. The yellow metal star core gave way to glowing red magma that warped the air, clearly separate from the star core. A wide grin split Li Qi's face. "Past the 10th level," he breathed. He had completed the first of 3 trials his master, Ice Peak Lord, had set. Past the bridge's 10th level within 500 years. The heavy pressure that had weighed on him evaporated. His spirit felt purer than ever. Relieved, Li Qi logged off and left the bridge to wait for his master's message. Li Qi has passed the 10th level. He's now on the same starting line as KD. Guardian Boffin looked up at the light screen and sent a mass notice to those watching the news. What secret technique was that? It felt so ancient and ferocious. No way. Did he really grasp part of a beast god concept? He's gone further than me on the beast god path. His talent is terrifying. Champion Undyings who cultivated the beast god path were stunned by Li Qi's sudden burst, how he used a rare, savage secret technique to slay the yellow-clad gatekeeper. On Thunder Island, in a mountainside palace of the Central Range, Ling Tu Venerable sat on his throne, hairless, skin smooth, watching the replay. "Junior brother, you never stop surprising me," he murmured. "You've already grasped a trace of beast god concept even before going to Ta's world. Your speed and talent in the beast god path are extraordinary. Compared to us senior brothers, your path to becoming my personal disciple seems almost too easy." In another palace on the Central Range, Gulun Venerable's fingers tapped the table as Li Qi's performance replayed. The fusion law of the beast god path is easy to begin with, but to comprehend the beast god concept itself, that's extremely difficult. As a universe exalt of the human race, Gulun had access to beast god path records. His time law talent was modest, so he was attempting a fire space fusion beast god route. With that kind of talent, it's no wonder Ling Tu took him as a disciple. But how did Ling Tu discover it? Gulun frowned. He had tried to study the matter and still couldn't find the key to Ling Tu's choice. Spectators saw Li Qi leave without attempting the 11th level. Is he done already? Why not try the 11th? By convention, after passing a level 1 often tested higher gatekeepers. Li Qi, however, simply logged off. Far away at Virtual Universe Corporation headquarters, a giant figure emerged from the Primal Universe passage, returned to the Primordial Universe, and then instant teleported to the Chanwu Universe country in the Lava Empire territory. 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, 110 years cultivating in the primitive mystical region, he had completed the first trial Ice Peak Lord had set, and now he had work to do. The figure was Ice Peak Lord himself, a silver-haired man in ancient, blood-stained battle armor with a sword on his back and white at his temples. The trials I set were too simple, he thought. His ability to birth a clone exceeded my expectations. Around him, countless scenes rewound, a busy navigation route, universe craft reversing course, then a damaged spacecraft drifted in space. Hundreds of astral rank fighters battled inside, with a few universe rank individuals mixed in. Suddenly, a universe rank warrior slipped through and charged the astral group. "It's a universe rank. Isha, run!" A handsome man, bearing an 8/10 likeness to Li Qi's elder brother Eric, shouted as he flew forward to intercept. Ice Peak Lord's consciousness locked onto 2 names, Ron Royce, Isha Planton. He allowed time to rewind automatically, but he had pulled them out of the reversing stream by an invisible hand. Time reversal was a privilege granted by the primordial universe to universe lords and above. They could reverse, and if desired, retrieve people or objects from the flow. If nothing was taken, time simply resumed like a compressed spring, and the reverser paid no price. But if someone or something was brought out, the cost was proportional to the strength of the retrieved person or object. Normally, the cost should fall on the resurrected, but they could not bear it. So the cost shifted to the one performing the time reversal. Resurrecting an ordinary universe exalt could be managed by even an ordinary universe lord. Resurrecting a universe overlord required a universe strongest, true god. Ice Peak Lord understood the rules and accepted the price. Scenes rewound on and on. The rebuilding of Kuka Star's outer defenses replayed, grasslands reverting to cities and back. He stopped the rewind at a damaged, burning base on the central grassland, Eric dragging a greatsword with one hand, holding a barely breathing Nia with the other as he rushed into a room. Ice Peak Lord rewound again, locked onto two more individuals in good condition, and pulled them out as time resumed normally. When he finished, 4 people had been rescued from different timelines. Ice Peak Lord sent them to the Royce family ancestral land, then instantly departed from Kuka Star. Outside the Royce ancestral estate on Kuka Star's lush grasslands, Eric stood bewildered in knee-high green grass. He remembered dying during the Yao Beast siege. Now the valley before him looked achingly familiar. He lowered his gaze at the greatsword in his hand and felt utterly confused. "But why am I home?" he whispered. A voice behind him made his heart jump. Eric. He could hardly believe the sound. He dared not turn at first, fearing an illusion. Then someone wrapped their arms around his waist. Warmth flooded him. "Daya," he murmured, voice trembling. "Is it really you?" "Eric." Daya's eyes brimmed with tears as she clung to him. "I don't know why, but we're both alive, and we're together." Another mature voice called, "You are Eric Ron Royce?" Eric turned. To his left, a man and a woman in black force armor stood, still stained with blood, as if they had just survived a mortal struggle. Up close, Eric felt his heart lurch. Father, mother. Ron Royce looked at his son, now grown and with a lover at his side. Emotion touched his voice. "Though I don't understand, we're alive. I remember dying, killed by a universe rank in battle." Isha Planton stepped forward, tears of joy streaming down her face. "Eric, you've grown up," she said, smiling through the tears. "Before I died, I had so many regrets. I would never see you grow up or start a family. Now I can." Eric's eyes flooded. The mother before him was unchanged from his memories. The 4 resurrected recognized one another. Through tearful conversation, they pieced together the same baffling fact. Each of them had died, but for some unknown reason, they were alive again and had been brought together. Eric looked toward the family estate that had not changed much over the years and said to his father, mother, and Daya, "If we're going to find out what happened, we should return to the family and see what they know." Chapter 199, Personal Disciples and Family News, that Li Qi had passed the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge and that his comprehension of law rivaled KD's spread quickly through the undying spiritual God circle. After hundreds of thousands of transmissions throughout the virtual universe, the rumor finally reached the Demon Clan territory. In that territory, a magnificent palace hovered in an endless star domain. It twisted the surrounding space-time into its own private pocket, making it invisible from afar. Clusters of black, white, purple, and other colored flames, each as big as an astral rank entity, swirled constantly around the palace. A white heavenly wolf more than 10 kilometers long appeared from the star domain and prostrated itself on the plaza before the palace. "Leader," the wolf reported respectfully. "Latest intelligence from the human territory. No, 9 has passed the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge. His comprehension of law is close to number 1. He is suspected of having very high aptitude on the Beast God path." "Beast God path?" A voice rumbled from a statue shaped like an eye inside the palace, cold and full of killing intent. "Another super genius has risen among the humans. Raise number 9's ranking to number 3 on the death list." "Yes, leader," the white wolf answered, then transformed into a streak of light and sped away to carry out the order. Number 3 on the death list meant Li Qi would be ranked below only KD, the unshakable number 1, and Zhu Mengluo, the world lord-ranked genius from the Great Axe Battleground who held number 2. KD's position was secure. He could fuse time and space laws at astral rank, a terrifying aptitude that placed him above the rest. Virtual Universe, Yushang Mountain Primal Zone, Manor number 111. Li Qi sat in his study, waiting for a summons from his teacher, Ice Peak Lord, and reviewing what he had gained by passing the 10th level. Unexpectedly, he had picked up a trace of the Beast God concept, subtle and incomplete, but it had surfaced in his move technique. The first move of his secret technique, Sky Ren Destruction Claw, the move called Destruction of the Earth, had manifested a Beast God quality. That move's prototype had been the Beast God Strike from the Beast God 4 moves. In Li Qi's view, the Beast God 4 moves, refined from Beast Combat images, would eventually be integrated into his Sky Ren Destruction Claw, and Destruction of the Earth was an encouraging start. But it was still an empty conceptual shell. His plan had always been for Fusion Law to form the backbone of the completed secret technique, and he had not even begun cultivating Fusion Law. He still had a long way to go before he could truly realize the technique. He had passed the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge. Now he only needed his teacher's summons. His thoughts drifted. I wonder if Big Brother has been resurrected yet. Master, you've received an important message from your teacher, Ice Peak Lord, the pleasant voice of his intelligent optical computer, Xiaoxi, announced. Li Qi's spirits rose. Open it, he ordered. A light screen popped up. The message was brief, 3 common characters from universe etiquette. Come see me. How do I go see my teacher? Li Qi muttered, uncertain. Master, your permissions have been upgraded, Xiaoxi replied. Apply to teleport to Ice Peak Lord's virtual universe space? Apply, Li Qi said. Xiaoxi fluttered her small wings. Her eyes glowed faintly. Application approved. Begin teleportation? Teleport. A moment later, Li Qi's body dissolved into white light and vanished from the manor. He reappeared in Ice Peak Lord's virtual universe space and was hit by a bone-deep chill. He stood on a snowy mountaintop, snow as far as the eye could see, heavy flakes falling on an icy wind. The whole place exuded absolute cold. Li Qi? Ice Peak Lord's voice came from behind. Li Qi turned and saw him standing at the peak's highest point, battle sword on his back, wearing blood-stained ancient armor. His silver hair was threaded with white, whipped by the wind. He seemed to belong to the ice itself, radiating an implacable chill. Li Qi bowed deeply. Greetings, teacher. Ice Peak Lord regarded him and then spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. I set 3 trials for you. Pass the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge within 500 years, pass the 12th level within 1,000 years, or pass any original Tongqian mountain within 5,000 years. Complete any one of those trials, and you may become my personal disciple. I would also resurrect your family. You have completed the first trial, Ice Peak Lord continued. From today, you are my 9th personal disciple. Your family has already been resurrected. Li Qi's heart leapt. He bowed again, full of gratitude. Thank you, teacher. Do not be too elated. Ice Peak Lord's expression remained cool. News of your family's resurrection and of you being a Universe Lord's disciple will not stay secret. Alien races will learn of it, and they will attempt frenzied assassinations. Li Qi listened in silence as Ice Peak Lord spoke on. The path of the strong is never smooth. One small mistake, and you could fall. I have watched your rise. Keep vigilance and reverence. Those are essential if you are to become powerful. I have prepared a life-saving treasure for you to be given when you become a world lord. Your 7th senior brother will guide your cultivation until the 5,000-year deadline expires. Ice Peak Lord paused and then asked, Do you have any questions? Teacher, your disciple has no questions, Li Qi replied. He had wanted to ask about the origin of that fiery red legacy crystal he'd found, but thought better of it. Some things, he realized, were useless to know if he could not act on them. Very well, return then. Ice Peak Lord turned away. Yes, disciple takes his leave. Li Qi bowed and transformed into white light again. Back at his manor, Li Qi's heart overflowed with joy. He had become his teacher's personal disciple, and Ice Peak Lord had resurrected his family. He teleported to the Royce family manor on Molten Rock Island in the Qianwu continent. Over 200 years of growth had brought the Royce family to its 7th generation and into the thousands. Despite a culture that largely favored monogamy, the manor Li Qi had purchased during the Cosmic Peak Genius Battle remained a place of significance, Only members from the first 3 generations and a select number of elite clansmen could enter. The manor buzzed with activity that day. 4 people who had died and been resurrected stood at the center of everyone's attention. Uncle, granduncle. Several younger generation elites greeted Li Qi with deep respect. Many of them had rarely seen him in person, some were meeting him for the first time, but they all knew the Royce family's pillar was Li Qi. The family's rapid rise across the lava star field and neighboring star domains in just 2 centuries was largely thanks to him, a core figure in the Virtual Universe Corporation's primitive mystical region. Even World Lord and Undying Spiritual God families, learning the Royce family was Li Qi's own, often chose to forfeit profits to befriend the legendary genius, Li Qi Royce. Li Qi, known as 11 to his family, nodded and walked toward the manor garden. After he left, the younger members whispered among themselves about seeing him. In the large garden, nearly 100 people had gathered in a circle, murmuring in surprise. At the center, Li Qi saw his big brother, Eric, smiling. After more than 300 years, Eric stood young, handsome, full of vigor. Beside him, a beautiful woman laughed and held his arm. Da Ya. She had died on the night the Yao beast broke through the United Cultivation Camp base. Her death had cost Eric his chance at escape and led to his own fatal stand. Seeing her alive brought a wave of emotion to Li Qi. Also resurrected were his second father and second mother, people he had only seen in portraits. Eric caught sight of him and waved. 11. The crowd quieted and turned toward Li Qi at the garden entrance. Some smiles were warm and sincere, others were stiff, the product of long separation and new tensions. 19, a younger man called, rushing over with a grin. We haven't seen each other in ages. Li Qi shook his head lightly. Who told you to always be in the arena or off on adventures? I've been back several times in recent decades and never saw you. I'm trying to learn from you, Brother 11, 19 said awkwardly. If you want to learn from me, then strive to break through to universe rank, Li Qi said with encouragement. As the family grew wealthier, fewer people showed the discipline to cultivate. Indulgence crept in. Aside from Li Qi believed only 4 of the first 3 generations truly had the aptitude to become a world lord. Second father Ron, just resurrected, third father Ivanko, big brother Eric, and 13th brother Gary. 19 had effort, but his talent was limited. 19 smiled at Li Qi's words. I'll work hard. After greeting several others, Li Qi found a quiet room and sat with Eric. 11, Eric said with heartfelt relief. Thank you for bringing us back. No need to thank me, Li Qi replied gently. We're family. Eric's smile grew bright for a moment, then faltered. Some things haven't changed among our people, but others have. He looked weary. The temptation of wealth and power is a strong thing. Li Qi's hand trembled slightly, but he said, some resist it, others are swallowed by it. Temptation changes people. It makes them forget what family is. Eric's voice softened. So what will you do? I can't do everything, Li Qi said. I can only be the pillar. I must keep moving forward on the thorny, difficult path to strength. If I stop, I risk falling. Even if I keep moving, there's no guarantee of smooth sailing. Danger can come at any time. If I die, the family will suffer a massive blow. That's the problem with newly rising families without deep roots. They rise quickly, and they can fall just as fast. You've done so much for us, 11, Eric said. It's okay, Li Qi answered with a small smile. I feel more at ease now. Resurrecting you took a lot of pressure off me. Time is less urgent. Eric nodded. Before you returned, Father, 13, and I talked. We'll enter the peak genius battle organized by the Great Axe Battleground in over 4,000 years. You stand so high, the family can only truly be supported by you, Eric continued. We can't reach your heights, but we'll do what we can to ease your burden. With the secret techniques you left in the family, we have a real shot at entering the Qianwu secret realm of the Qianwu universe country. That's good, Li Qi said. If you're in the Qianwu secret realm and I'm in the primitive mystical region, together we can strengthen the family. Eric's words moved him. Even if the others' efforts wouldn't greatly affect Li Qi's own ascent, their sincerity showed who had remained true to the family. Looking around at the faces, some changed, some not, Li Qi felt both the weight of responsibility and the comfort of those who had not wavered. Chapter 200, Awakening and the Aftermath of Resurrection. After chatting with his big brother and the others, Li Qi did not return to the manor garden. Instead, he went straight to the study in his primal zone manner. He sat on the sofa, lost in thought, a light screen hovering before him, showing introductions to universe-rank bloodline potions and their non-point purchase prices. Since becoming a personal disciple of the Ice Peak Lord, his authority had risen. He was now allowed to buy bloodline potions without using points. Yet as he stared at the exchange options, he hesitated. In just over 200 years, many people in the family have changed, he mused, eyes cold in the screen's glow. Many of them weren't even at planetary rank when we were on Kuka Star. They rose to planetary peak by hoarding resources, and now as dominators of tens or hundreds of billions on one or more life planets, their temperaments have become arrogant and unrestrained. Not only am I junior to many of them, I'm the family's only pillar, he continued. He swiped the display away and leaned back. They don't even show me, the family's pillar, proper respect. How would they ever treat outsiders or the weak? He thought about the future. An astral rank lifespan was 10,081 years, and it wouldn't be long before he broke through to Territory Lord rank. Core members get a highest point mission after breaking through to Territory Lord and being dispatched, he said to himself. That mission will most likely involve crimes within the family. It's a test. Those who pass get Universe rank or even Territory Lord rank bloodline potions. Those who fail, he let the thought trail off. Decisions will be made according to the circumstances then. Xiao Shi, he called softly. A small sprite, no more than 20 centimeters tall with light wings, fluttered into the air and bowed. Master, from today on, stop transferring 1 Hunyuan unit to the family fund, Li Qi instructed. Also send an email to 6th Uncle Garabel. Tell him I've agreed to stop contributing more to the fund. Before leaving for the Primal Universe, he had set up a family fund and been contributing 1 Huan unit annually. Over 2 centuries, it had grown to over 300 Hunyuan, more than 200 from his transfers, the rest from operations run by 6th Uncle's team. 60 years ago, 6th Uncle had suggested no more contributions were necessary. Li Qi hadn't agreed then. He could stop now. Stop transferring 1 Hunyuan per year to the family fund, Xiao Shi replied after a pause, her eyes flashing briefly. Email composed and sent to Mr. Garabel's inbox. Li Qi closed his eyes. Put the bloodline potion plan on hold. I won't consider exchanging for one until after completing the Territory Lord highest point mission. He added, I'm currently on Giant Godstar. Once I finish this cultivation task, I'll go to Ta's world, as 7th Senior Brother suggested. After a bit more rest, he resumed cultivating the God Tree True Understanding secret art. While Li Qi cultivated, startling news rippled through the lava starfield. The dead had been resurrected. The Royce family, thousands strong and notoriously gossipy, found out quickly that Big Brother Eric and the others had been brought back. When Territory Lord members Daya and Isha in the lava starfield confirmed the resurrection through contact with their families in the virtual universe, the news spread even faster. The Qianwu universe country was abuzz. Undying spiritual gods debated loudly. Li Qi Royce was taken as a disciple by someone greater than a universe exalt, one said. He resurrected his family members. Impossible. Resurrection's a privilege of champion-level undying and top geniuses, and yet an astral rank got it. No one should offend him, another warned. We should have our families make friends with the Royce family immediately. At the Qianwu Imperial Palace, the country lord, an ancient advanced universe exalt who had fallen twice and lost much, suspected who the patron might be. If Lingtu Venerable is involved, his master would be even greater, he thought. Li Qi had come to the virtual universe from the Qianwu country, and if a great existence had taken him as a disciple, the country could hope to gain contribution points. Contribution points were rewards granted to champion-level undying or universe exalts who served as country lords or held important positions. They could be exchanged for points and Hunyuan units, and, crucially, for heavy treasure points, the high-level currency coveted across humanity, which could then be traded for supreme treasure points. The country lord calculated the possibilities. If Li Qi rose to Universe Exalt, he could use the returned heavy treasure points to pay off the debt he owed for his own resurrection, and perhaps even gain more. He planned to borrow heavy and supreme treasure to enter Original Star one day and hoped to turn things around. Far beyond the human worlds, the encrypted notice reached alien ears. In the Void Realm, the Zerg Queen Mother, a universe exalt whose divine form spanned kilometers, received the transmission and frowned. "Another peerless human genius has appeared," she murmured. After Zhu Mengluo was taken by the Void Gold Master, Li Qi is now a disciple of a universe lord in the virtual universe. KD, who is ranked number 1, was probably taken by the primordial Chaos City Lord or tutored by Guiyi Venerable, her soul slave relayed. The Queen Mother's tone turned cold. Li Qi, suspected of comprehending the beast god concept, has potential slightly higher than Zhu Mengluo. Raise Li Qi's assassination ranking to number 2. KD is the real threat, she added, voice hard and unmelodious. Even at astral rank, he mixes 2 advanced laws and shows terrifying potential. If he is not suppressed early, he could become like the Sky Devour Palace Master. KD must die. With prior agreement among the insect, monster, and automaton races, Li Qi's ranking was pushed to number 2 on their assassin lists. KD remained their top target. In the virtual universe's Thunder Island Central Mountains, Gulan Venerable read the news and felt relief. When the rumor first spread that Ling Tu Venerable had taken Li Qi as a disciple, Gulan had puzzled over it. He'd watched Li Qi's recorded performances at length and found nothing extraordinary at first, then watched Li Qi improve rapidly in law comprehension and show talent on the beast god path. Had his vision been flawed? He now realized it wasn't that he had missed something, it was that the teacher who took Li Qi was above his own sight. Ling Tu's teacher must be a great universe lord, he thought. Ling Tu Venerable himself was a little stunned when he heard that his teacher had helped Li Qi resurrect family members. My teacher would actually help that junior brother restore his family? What is so special about him? Though Ling Tu had a close relationship with Li Qi, his teacher was known as cold and solitary. For such an existence to do this for Li Qi was beyond expectation. Still, Ling Tu smiled and muttered, "He gets along well with junior brother. If Li Qi becomes a universe exalt, maybe I can borrow some treasures from him." News raced across Yushang Mountain and the rest of the virtual universe. People were stunned that Li Qi had become a disciple of someone greater than a universe exalt, a status comparable to, or even exceeding, KD's patronage. "This treatment is too generous," one observer said. "Resurrection is usually a privilege only for champion-level undying." Manlei, who had been eliminated to the Heaven and Earth secret realm and was now in an open class, listened in disbelief. He was a royal of the barbaric universe country and a core member of the Virtual Universe Corporation, but he'd only a vague idea that existences above universe exalts even existed. He quickly drafted an email to KD with the news, curious about his friend's reaction. KD, in Manorno, 113's enclosed training ground on Yuxiang Mountain Primal Zone, was practicing sword techniques, movement forms, and the body amplification secret art he had obtained from the ice-cold god General Legacy. He paused, recalling his state when he last used the amplification art. "This legacy is extraordinarily powerful," he remarked. Having received only the 2nd stage so far, his body amplification had already reached 17 times, stronger than that of many champion-level practitioners. Completing the 2nd stage would be long and difficult. "My consciousness almost couldn't hold on while receiving this stage," KD admitted. "Fortunately, I cultivated a will-tempering secret art with 2nd Senior Brother's guidance. Otherwise, I wouldn't have reached the 2nd stage." An email from Manlei arrived. KD opened it, read, and frowned. Li Qi's family members had been resurrected by someone greater than a universe exalt because Li Qi had become that being's disciple. "An existence above a universe exalt is on par with teacher's patron," KD said softly. "I didn't expect Li Qi to get such a backer." He considered the implications for their rivalry. He was currently studying the Cosmic Chaos Tablet, integrating both time and space laws at once, an arduous task. Li Qi focused on space law alone. "It won't be easy to surpass him in law comprehension," KD mused. "But I have the ice-cold god General Legacy. With body amplification at 17 times now, if I finish the 2nd stage, I should reach 20 times." That'll make trials like the Heavenly Bridge and original Tongtian Mountain much easier. He smiled, issuing a quiet challenge. Lychee, I hope you pass the 11th level of the Heavenly Bridge before I complete my legacy. If not, it'll be hard for you to overtake me. Lychee didn't know about these ripples in the outside world. He had been in secluded cultivation for 4 years, immersed in the God Tree True Understanding's 108 analyses of space law essence. If not for an alarm, he had set to remind him to participate in the Brave Trial, which appears on Giant Godstar once every 100 years. He might still be lost in that cultivation. As his consciousness detached from the virtual universe, Lychee felt the distant pull of Giant Godstar and the approaching call of the Brave Trial.